You know, how about Bryan Singer? He actually has talent. It's called Bryan Singing. And he's just has the voice of a god.
The voice of a... Okay, so he has to feed on children to keep his voice youthful.
He feeds off the positive energy of children, and they give him the inspiration to be able to sing. So
and an erection.
Okay.
It all comes together.
Yeah, it gives him a rectifying spirit.
Oh boy. Well, we're really giving George the full cage fight experience right off the bat here.
We should just call this the Bryan Singer fight podcast, because all we do is talk about Bryan Singer more than Nick Cage sometimes.
We're just going to talk about Bryan Singer until we can get him in here and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
If Nick Cage was in a band, he'd be Nick Cage the Elephant.
I think our three most covered topics in order are 9/11, Bryan Singer, and then Nicolas Cage.
Which, by the way, when we talk about things that are connected with 9/11, we will be talking about Fred Durst Friday later on.
And we will be
also,
talking about
lots of
Oliver
discussion
Stone.
of 9/11. Yeah, lots of discussion of 9/11 in Snowden. So
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely a little bit.
Hey,
of
should
that.
I start recording?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Cage fight. Oh yeah. Cage fight. Nicolas Cage.
Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Cage Fight podcast.
Wow, the series is old enough to drink now?
Yeah. So crack open a cold one with the Cage Fight crew. Not hot dog flavored water yet. That's not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Save the hot dog flavored water for later. And get really fucking twisted right now.
Twisted just like the Psychopathic Records act, right?
Yeah.
With a Z.
Which will be our next bracket.
The Twisted bracket.
The Twisted versus Tech 9 bracket.
So I guess we can just go through and introduce ourselves. I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Mike.
Hello, this is Taylor coming at you from the Cage Fight studio.
And we got a special guest today
Very special.
from the depths of Philadelphia, the scariest place on earth, which is what has inspired him to create the scariest podcast on earth. It's George Heftler.
hey everyone, how's it going?
Hi, George. I've never introed somebody before. I didn't mean to shit on your town.
No, that's okay. Hey, David Lynch himself also thought it was a pretty fucking scary place. So, we take it as a compliment.
Will Smith also said it was a very scary place. So
Yeah, that basketball
that's
court.
right. He got scared.
Nothing good went down at that basketball court.
yeah, he took his ass straight to Bel Air. So
Yeah. And of course,
Couldn't hack it.
M. Night Shyamalan, very scary dude.
yeah,
For sure.
George, you host a podcast called The Best Little Horror House in Philly, which is a real good podcast, fun podcast. I've been on it before, and now you guys have to do it. So that's.
I think you stole the movie I would talk about, but
I did. I got in early. I talked about Alien.
Yeah, Mike definitely got lucky there because that one would have flown off the shelf, I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm surprised you just mentioned that. I don't want to spoil future episodes
No,
for you,
hey,
but you did
that's
say
fine. We
that
can talk about it.
you're covering Jaws soon, which I feel like I'm surprised it hasn't been covered yet.
Yeah, there's a few that at this point I'm still pretty shocked they haven't been covered. I mean, a lot of the tentpole ones, like the original Nightmare on Elm Street, none of the Friday the 13th, Halloween hasn't been picked. And I mean, up until now, Jaws, and Hellraiser as well. None of the Child's Play stuff. I mean, this
lot of
podcast
good
has got
bits.
legs, baby.
you know, and that's the thing too, especially with John Saxon passing recently. You should definitely cover the Nightmare on Elm Street series at some point.
Well, so the drawback is that the concept of the show is it's the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least, which means that I have no control over what movie we talk about any given week because it's all up to the guest to bring their favorite, as long as it hasn't been picked already. And so for the duration of the show, I agree with them that it's the best horror movie ever made, but the actual pick is completely out of my hands. So weirdly, coincidentally, though, the episode that got released today was the Nightmare on Elm Street 7, Wes Craven's New Nightmare episode. So really coincidental timing with the unfortunate passing of John Saxon, but he's great in that one as he is in pretty much everything he's in.
R.I.P. to Johnny S. Johnny Sack.
He's also fantastic in the movie Black Christmas, where he basically played the same character.
Yeah. Well, hey, and Enter the Dragon, I think, is the Bruce Lee one that he's in.
Yep, he's in Enter the
great
Dragon,
man.
too.
Have you covered your actual favorite horror movie on the podcast yet?
So,
Or is that classified information?
it's not classified, but the problem is that it does sort of shift in depending on the day and the context. I did force my friend Kirsten to talk about The Witch with me, which is definitely one of my favorites. I would say probably my actual favorite is Friday the 13th Part 2, which is it's like such a weird pick that I don't think is going to get picked for a while. So at some point, I might just force someone to come on and talk about it with me. But
yeah, and definitely not to denigrate your personal taste, but if any of the original 4 where he's not a zombie,
Right.
Part 2 is probably the one I would not choose. I'll be frankly honest.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, so I love the Friday the 13th franchise. I
me
think it's
too.
the most consistent by a long shot.
Absolutely.
And the fact that there's only really one entry in the franchise that is an absolute stinker, for my money at least, it says something about the quality of the franchise itself. And the fact of the matter is that anyone could pick pretty much any of the Friday the 13th movies, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I think that there's something to enjoy in all of them, even the shitty ones like Jason X and Jason Takes Manhattan. Like, where else are you going to see him punch a guy's head straight off his damn body?
And I will say, though, so what is the one stinker? I'm curious on your end.
Oh, it's Goes to Hell for sure.
Oh, really?
So
I was going to
not
say
a-
Part
yeah.
5. Part 5 is by far my least favorite. I thought that was like by far the worst one.
It's definitely not great. I would say it's towards the bottom for me, but I think there's enough interesting stuff going on that it's at least tolerable for me. It's probably not one I revisit as often as some of the other ones, but it's not one that I would like skip. Like I actively skip 9 when I'm marathoning.
Honestly, with Goes
them.
to Hell, that one's my favorite because it's also got a homoerotic shaving scene.
It sure
So
does.
why
It
would
really
you
does.
not want to watch a movie that has a homoerotic shaving scene?
More movies should
You know,
have
the problem
that.
is it's the same issue that people had with Halloween 3, and that for a lot of the movie, Jason's not in it, and it's just a real drag that it's just kind of his spirit jumping around from body to body, and you know, we're there to see Jason doing his thing.
And that's the thing, for at least for me, Halloween 3 is my favorite Halloween movie. So for me, that does
do
not
like it, yeah.
that does
stands
not
to The Witch
denigrate
here.
anything for me. Oh no, I mean, we reviewed Season of the Witch earlier in the show.
And we all agreed that
yeah.
we would rather be watching Halloween 3.
Hey, yeah, you're right. But
I mean, Halloween 3 is good, so it's not necessarily a burn on Season of the Witch. But I don't know. I love Halloween 3.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it too. I honestly wish that it didn't have such a backlash when it came out, because I think that pretty much every Halloween movie after that, except for like maybe H2O, is pretty much garbage.
Oh,
so
would objectively agree with that. H2O was tolerable, but Halloween 3 was the last great Halloween movie, in my opinion.
Yeah,
yeah, so if they had stopped including Michael Myers in it, I mean, looking at it now from outside of in the moment and not being like surprised by the fact that there was no Michael Myers in it, I think that was the right direction for them, and they kind of got locked into a shitty thing.
Yeah, things got weird when he got all like supernatural and
Yeah, Mustafa Akkad throwing things off.
Well, and that was the same problem with the Friday the 13th series after Jason got killed off, because they had to bring him back somehow, and they turned him into a supernatural fucking zombie.
Yeah, right. He
at
pulls
least-
it off better though.
Oh, I agree. I will agree with that.
for sure. I definitely agree with you, George, because the Friday the 13th franchise is one of those rare ones where even the shitty ones are extremely fun to watch. Whereas like watching Halloween 4 through 6 is borderline torture. So
Yeah.
It really is. Plus, even the remake is like pretty decent. I would say it's of the Platinum Dunes remakes, probably the best one.
I need to rewatch that one. It's been a
I
while.
would say Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably my favorite Platinum Dunes remake. I mean, I know that's a dubious distinction, being the best Platinum Dune remake, but that was actually my favorite.
That one's probably number 2 for me.
That's okay.
But I just think that they managed to kind of combine some of the good parts of the first 3 movies into a pretty decent cold open in the first one, or in the remake for Friday the 13th, and that was just kind of enough to get some goodwill from me. So
And that's the thing about the Halloween 4 through 6 you were mentioning earlier. Those movies did have one of the first appearances of Danielle Harris, who later ended up being really hot. But at the time, Bryan Singer considered her hot when the movies came out.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it all really began for It's kind of a, we're all bringing it back to kind of an origin story here.
Right.
For the man we plan to destroy.
I hope to God Bryan Singer never comes on the show because we're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
I hope he does come on the show because, oh man, I got some stuff to say.
Well, if he does come on, he's definitely going to come on to our baby pictures later on. So
Oh, God.
That's the exchange that you've made.
Well, this is a really good segue because it brought it all back around to the main subject of this podcast, Bryan Singer.
Bryan Singer. And so, just to bridge the gap a little bit, we have the host of a horror movie podcast on here. So obviously, we're talking about 2 horror movies, right? Yeah. And the answer is yes.
For real, though.
Because... on this podcast, we live by the mantra, war is hell.
And honestly, the horrors of fucking like monstrous governments, I think this is absolutely apropos.
Government surveillance.
That's a classic paranoia movie.
Yeah, I was friggin' shaking in my boots watching these.
Yeah, but if you didn't notice from the title, we're talking today about Lord of War and Snowden. 2 fairly long movies that I think we actually have quite a bit to say about this time.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll kick it off with Lord of War here. That movie was rated R and came out in 2005. Directed by Andrew Niccol, Niccol, which directed other such illustrious films.
Gattaca. He wrote and directed Gattaca and was a writer for The Truman Show and Terminal.
And you forgot his best movie, the adaptation of the Stephenie Meyer book, The Host.
Is that a Stephenie Meyer book?
Yes, it is. Not the Bong Joon-ho movie. The one was Saoirse Ronan, I think her name is. Irish actress.
Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, the really bad one she was in. That was an adaptation of a Stephenie Meyer novel. You forgot about the best movie he directed. How could you forget that?
I'm sorry. It's better than the friggin' Bong Joon-ho one. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Bong Joon-ho, more like Bong Joon fucking sucks.
Whoa.
Yeah. By the way, I've never watched a Bong Joon-ho in this movie, and on my podcast, Dick Proles, we've never talked about a Bong Joon-ho movie, and we've never talked about how he's my favorite director. We've never talked about it.
Well, on this podcast, we are anti-Oscar winning pictures, except for one.
Yeah, there's only one Oscar winner that matters.
Wait,
yeah.
He was in a couple, right?
No, Bong Joon-ho only won the Oscars for Parasite.
Nicolas Cage,
though.
Oh, Nicolas Cage. Yeah, he won an Oscar for.
Leaving
let's not
Las Vegas.
spoil it.
For Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You spoiled it.
Sorry.
Damn.
You should have given me a spoiler warning before you spoiled it in the middle of my sentence.
Stop this episode and listen to the Leaving Las Vegas episode that has not been recorded or released.
I think it's like later in the second thing in the bracket anyway.
Yeah, it's further on. So this was the production companies on this one were Entertainment Manufacturing Company, which is just a fucking hilarious name.
That's a shell company if I've ever heard one.
They manufacture entertainment. It's very direct. Also, Saturn Films, Cage's production
Let's
company.
never forget Saturn Films, a very frequent flyer on this series.
I pump my fist every time I see that Saturn, baby.
Yeah, I was excited to see it.
Well,
good for you, Nick.
And the reason for that is because no U.S. studio would back this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was in the IMDb trivia. So they had to get international finances secured to even make this.
The international man of mystery, Bryan Singer, to finance this.
Yeah. They flew the Epstein jet to London.
Pervert Island.
To Zurich, to Berlin, to wherever they could go.
That's like that Vampire Weekend song. So
that's a joke just for us, Mike.
Yes. Thank you, George, for being here for that one. Lord of War is a fictionalized take on a group of brilliant young skateboarders raised in the mean streets of Dogtown in Santa Monica, California. The Z-Boys, as they come to be known, perfect their craft in the empty swimming pools of unsuspecting suburban homeowners, pioneering a thrilling new sport and eventually moving into legend in the 2005 picture. Lords of Dogtown.
See, I thought for a second I was
Dogtown, yeah.
listening to Dave do a summary of the fucking movie.
Well, see, both Lord of War and Lords of Dogtown came out in the same year, so I would be remiss not to confuse the two. So
They're also both really good.
yeah.
I like Lords of... Yeah, they're both really good, is what I'll say.
By the way, who's Dave? Nobody introduced him.
Oh yeah, up on the boards we've got fucking Dave.
Dave, good for you, Dave.
Yeah,
Good job.
Great.
Hi, Dave.
Hey there.
Oh wow, Dave's.
I like the one who's nice to me.
It's
The more time he spends around you, the
I
more
was
he'll
gonna say, he
wise
just
up.
hasn't had the chance to destroy your
he'll come around. Don't
destroy
worry.
your self-confidence yet. So.
I do have some more
I can
trivia.
pitch shift that mic too.
I didn't get to the budget
Oh,
either.
sorry.
No, I was rudely interrupted, but the budget of this was $50 million. And anybody want to hazard a guess as to the box office gross?
I'm gonna guess $73 million.
I'm gonna say.
That's cheating.
No, I literally just guessed. I don't know.
I'm gonna say 500 billion.
No.
I'm going to say 100 million.
This movie grossed $73 million.
I literally just guessed.
I assumed he looked it up.
I literally just guessed.
73 is Taylor's favorite number. So that's
But yeah, that's 13 out of 40 movies thus far that have been in the black.
in the black.
Bafo box office, as they say.
Oh yeah.
Also, this one got a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, 84% audience score. It's sort of liked by critics, pretty well liked by people.
Once
'Cause
again,
critics
really
aren't
shows
people.
the
They're lizards.
elitism of the critics.
Yeah. But yeah, Mike, you can go on to your trivia now.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that.
you're good.
You just had interrupted me when I was trying to do the trivia. So. According to writer and director Andrew Niccol, the filmmakers worked with actual gun runners in the making of this movie. I guess the tanks that they had lined up actually belonged to a Czech arms dealer.
Oh, shit.
And they used a real stockpile of over 3,000 AK-47s because it was cheaper than getting prop guns.
Well, Nick Cage does have a line about AK-47s being really cheap, but AK-47s in the third world are like dirt fucking cheap. Like, you can get them for basically nothing.
Yeah, I've got a bunch.
Yeah. I've got a good 3 or 4 laying around here.
I use them
Just
to
check
build
under
my
the table.
explosive new
Magnetize.
house. So.
You have that, it's like a Game of Thrones throne, but instead of swords, it's AK-47s, right?
Absolutely.
In my neighborhood of Philly, we've established a bartering system with them.
Oh, I have been to Philadelphia before, and when I got to the airport, there's like a spot where you can exchange your U.S. dollars for AK-47s, which we actually didn't do, and they didn't let us in a lot of places.
What is the current exchange rate?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I think it's a dollar is 20 AK-47s.
Holy shit, dude! I remember when it used to be 12 AK-47s to the dollar.
Yeah.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
It must have really been devalued
It's
over
weak
time.
right now.
Yeah, economy is, dare I say, naughty. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but before shooting that scene with the tanks, they had to warn NATO because they didn't want anybody to think that there was a real war starting.
Invasion happening.
So
Yeah.
that's fun. And Nicolas Cage's character is a composite of 5 real arms dealers, but largely based on Victor Bout, a former Soviet officer who was finally arrested by Thai authorities in March 2008, also known as the Merchant of Death.
And also not to spoil too much about the plot of Lord of War before we get into it, but objectively not born and raised in America. I wonder why they chose that's the artistic decision for this movie for Nick Cage not to play somebody from the Soviet Union.
Oh, yeah.
Especially what we know about Nick Cage's amazing accent.
Beautiful accent.
I mean, he was downright Ukrainian in this shit. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jared Leto, forget about it. You see them chugging a bottle of vodka on a rooftop?
Yeah, squatting and complaining about the Holodomor, which didn't happen. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got for fun facts. Other than this movie is not Lords of Dogtown, 2005.
Okay. But yeah, I guess moving on to a plot summary here. Cage gives like a little monologue at the start about just how many guns there are in the world. I think he says like 550 million or one for every 12 people.
Which, by the way, I wanted to, because I had to write that down. That number's objectively wrong.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's a little over 1 billion guns currently in the world that we know of.
Oh, so almost twice as many.
Yeah.
Well, did you check 2005?
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's no. I mean, I refuse to believe they've made a 500 million guns in the last 15 years.
Well, I have ordered a
believe
bunch
it.
since then.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the exchange rate of AK-47s again. I mean, shit.
Yeah, I mean,
We
got
see
it.
the surplus.
coins are disappearing, but AK-47s.
Yeah, clearly there's inflation going on. But yeah, after that, the opening credits kind of follow a bullet through the manufacturing and shipping process and end with it being loaded into a gun and fired into a child, I think.
Yeah, literally shot into the skull of a child. Which, by the way, that opening sequence was fucking fantastic. I love
great.
it.
It's fun. You
It's,
can always get behind something like that.
I mean, I feel like I've seen that a bunch of times, despite not having actually seen this movie. But during this scene, I remembered that we definitely had a few days of like a hungover history teacher showing this in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think after watching it, I think I've seen probably 3/4 of it.
Oh,
Or I
damn.
had seen
And
3/4 of
yeah,
it.
that's the thing is that it usually doesn't end with a bullet in a child's skull outside of like Best or Live League. So I'm glad we got to see that in a major motion picture. with
Yeah,
Nick
and
Cage.
I mean, they didn't get too CSI with it, like follow the bullet like through his brains or anything. Maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
It's like that for that split frame of a second, basically.
But yeah, I do think that was pretty cool as far as intro credit sequences go. Definitely cooler than Gone in 60 Seconds.
yeah, where the intro was like 10 minutes long and nothing happened.
I think opening credit sequences are really important, and this is a great one as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Then we see Cage, whose family apparently pretended to be Jewish so they could leave the Soviet Union and get to the U.S., living in Little Odessa.
Can I just say that I laughed so hard when they the bullet casing is in focus and then the menorah comes into focus,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, "Wow, really hitting the message really hard right up top, guys."
One day, in Little Odessa, he sees some gangsters shoot each other and decides he wants to be an arms dealer. So Jared Leto, who plays his little brother, and Cage convinces him to go into business with him as an arms dealer. They go to like the Berlin Arms Fair in 1983, but are basically rejected by everybody there. So then they go to Beirut to get munitions that have been left behind by the army there, because it is usually apparently cheaper to just buy more weapons than it is to ship the weapons back to your home country when you're done. So they buy a bunch of guns from soldiers who were kind of selling them under the table to make money for their own gain. Basically, generals, higher ups, people that have access and authority over those things. And he becomes pretty successful at getting various arms through embargoes that have been set up by the UN and other governing bodies. After that, we kind of see like a tense scene where they're on a cargo ship carrying a bunch of their stolen weapons that's about to be intercepted by Interpol agents, and they kind of rapidly change the name painted on the side of the ship to a
It's a
new...
great scene.
Yeah.
And by the way, did you forget who Nick Cage teams up with in this movie?
Oh, Jared Leto, did I
Yeah,
not say?
his brother, the Joker. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the Joker I should be calling
He
him.
the best Joker.
Oh
We
yeah,
can all
that's
agree.
the name Jared Leto doesn't register with Taylor. You have to call him the Joker.
Yeah. He was definitely not the too fucking blonde guy from Fight Club at all. Describe him as the Joker to me, yes.
I always call him the guy from the Kill music video.
Oh, yeah.
I also describe him as the guy from the best post-rock / new metal band in the early 2000s, 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would take longer to get there.
The band's fucking terrible.
Do not listen to Who Shall Not Be Named. 30 Seconds to Mars is the best band of all time. You know, they were the first American band to shoot a music video in the People's Republic of China, so they're also the most tanky band of all time.
Oh. And I heard Jared Leto's not a great guy, but has a big penis.
That's what I've heard too.
In this movie, as you'll come to see, one thing he shares in common with the Joker that he played is that he's damaged.
That's
He actually wrote the Black Flag album.
that was beautiful. Yeah, and the main Interpol guy is Ethan Hawke, who's trying to put the hammer down on old
My
Yuri.
man, I love the Hawk, man.
He's looking pretty good in this one too. He's got a kind of butch shaved short
Ice
haircut.
chic.
He was hotter in Boyhood, though.
I have not seen Boyhood
He
actually.
was way hotter in Boyhood. So
He was hotter in Gattaca. Speaking of,
Yeah, it's Andrew Niccol movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's basically harassing Nick Cage, being like, yo, motherfucker, you can't sell guns on this ship. Who the fuck are you?
He's like,
I laughed so hard when they when they figure it out, and the Joker is like, the French flag is on its side is Dutch, and Nick Cage goes,
yeah, they're going through their stockpile of flags, and
Yeah.
they don't have a Dutch flag.
Yeah,
right, and he says, that's why you're my brother, and I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? That's why you're my brother.
They have a very strange brotherly
They really
relationship.
do.
Yeah.
And they look nothing alike, too.
They don't at all.
they really don't.
Jared Leto's way uglier.
Nick Cage was like, oh yeah, this will reflect well on me.
These guys are brothers in a gay porn would look like. They do not look anything alike.
They do look like they're about to start like jerking each other off at some point. Because they're like, Ukrainian enough that they're, at least Jared Leto is kind of like a, jumpsuit wearing kind of guy. And, you just.
Oh, his speech about being a dog at the beginning of the movie is hysterical.
I love how they get people are they're supposed to play two Ukrainians. You get a French, ethnically French guy and fucking Jared Leto, and you get an Italian with fucking Nick Cage. Nothing alike.
Honestly, it's perfect. And I feel like the main thing that unites them though is that Jared Leto played the Joker and Nicolas Cage is the Joker. So
He's like, you want to know where I got these guns?
But Interpol very much does want to know where he got those guns, I think. They do. But the agents still search him, but they'd hidden all the weapons under some rotting potatoes. So
That was really fucking funny, and I loved at the tail end of that scene, in the last few seconds, the guns or the potatoes start falling, and you see it was an M16 underneath.
yeah, it.
they should have just buried him in potato flakes. I feel like would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
It would've
flakes
been-
later on in the movie. If you know
I think
what I mean.
everyone would have mistaken that for snow, though, and it wouldn't have.
Yeah. So why is there all this snow on the boat?
And how's it staying not melted?
Yeah. Why is it more powder than snow?
The early part of the movie is a little bit of a montage of some of Cage's early dealings, and next we see him in a deal with a Colombian drug lord, where they argue because the drug lord wants to pay him in cocaine and he wants money, but
Jared Leto's cool with it.
Yeah, Jared Leto's very- and also don't forget, and this is one of many scenes, but Nick Cage speaks all their native languages. Which, fun fact, he learned all those languages in this movie.
Nick Cage has never once gotten a notification for being inactive on Duolingo. He is constantly learning, Native American languages, made up languages.
He's picking up ASL.
yeah,
Exactly.
Well, I was saying, Nick Cage is poly in many ways. He's polyamorous and a polyglot too. So he knows all the fucking languages.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if for Snowden he did learn ASL just
Fun fact,
for that one
because
need.
apparently fucking learned
his original
Navajo,
gun
but-
deal was during World War II on Saipan when he was speaking in Navajo to sell his guns to the Japanese somehow.
Oh yeah, but yeah, after the drug lord pays them in cocaine, Leto becomes addicted to the coke and runs off somewhere into the depths of Colombia.
Immediately.
Yeah.
He's just immediately
Oh man, he is
addicted.
twisted off it too.
Yeah,
They go from no drugs to immediately doing coke off a knife and off the floor.
Yeah, and just banging just some probably gnarly hookers without a fucking without a fucking condom, and just snorting all the cocaine. It's yo, bro, I understand there's need to be an escalation, but it doesn't take 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then
This
he's so high on cocaine that he makes a map of the Ukraine out of cocaine.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, also
That's
the
right.
part where,
he's gonna snort his way down.
You're right. And then Nick Cage takes all the cocaine and puts it on the floor, and he just starts sniffing the carpet. I'm where did this all come from?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
pretty
it's
extreme
wild.
level to get
was-
to. Awesome.
Pissed when Nicolas Cage destroyed Ukraine.
That was one thing I did notice. I literally wrote down this movie moves so quick. Just the pacing in it is so pedal to the metal.
Yeah, it
that
really
it's
is.
crazy.
Yeah, especially in the early parts of the movie, they're really trying to cram
Yeah.
a lot into this runtime.
Yeah,
For sure.
the opening
And
scene
it's
with
still over 2 hours.
yeah, the opening scene with a bullet is supposed to be just a overview of the entire film, just fucking plowing through manufacturing and then to a kid's head. You know, it's just it's all happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Leto is severely addicted to coke after this, and Cage forces him into rehab, but gives him one last bump on the car seat before he goes, and he decides to start working alone. Pretty much immediately after this, Cage spends a shitload of money to rent out a hotel and hire a model named Ava that he's been seeing on billboard ads for a fake photo shoot, and essentially...
They also grew up in the same town. They're both from Brooklyn and the same neighborhood.
Oh, I must have missed that, actually.
No, yeah, they're from the same neighborhood. That's why he's like, oh, that's the girl I remember when I was a kid and I wanted to bang her when I was like 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I see.
It's still crazy, but it makes a little more sense.
It certainly makes a little more sense now. Because before I was just like, how did you hatch up this convoluted plan? But yeah, he hires her for a fake photo shoot and basically essentially fools her into thinking he's incredibly rich and into starting a relationship with him.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is pretty fucked up.
The whole dynamic of their relationship is very strange in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, didn't he rent out that whole hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically so that it was just him and her, so she would have no one to speak to but him.
And here's the thing. Don't ever spend that much money on white women. It's not fucking worth it. Never worth it.
He actually rented out the hotel, the whole hotel, so nobody would overhear when they were fucking throwing down, rocking the walls.
Threw out her fucking back and turned her out. Yeah.
They fucked in every room in that hotel.
They and
Hey, if you rent out a hotel, I say that you have to do that, really.
Yeah, just to get
true.
your money worth. I mean, shit.
Yeah, the manager has to let you do it in the offices too.
yeah, they were actually so dehydrated that they had to, in a deleted scene, go to the hospital. So.
The very next scene, we cut to them getting married, and shortly after their marriage, the Cold War ends, and Cage is super, super excited about this. He's kissing the screen, like as Gorbachev is on there. He's actually more excited about this than his son, who just started walking moments before.
I mean, fuck that kid.
Yeah, fuck that kid.
I walk every day. Well, most days.
Yeah, we're supposed to be fucking impressed because he got up and took a few steps. No. But, yeah, he knows that this is going to lead to a bunch of arms deals. And during family Christmas festivities, because this happens around Christmas time, Jared Leto is again acting very erratic and again taken to rehab by Cage in basically a repeat of the previous scene. Gives him a bump off the car seat and then go on.
And when he gives him that bump, he says, "You're a good brother."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, I would think that too. If
Yeah. Cage goes to the Ukraine to buy some weapons from the military there, and this will be fairly easy to do because of the messy breakup of the USSR. The Ukraine is no longer a part of the Soviet Union, and these are a lot of Soviet weapons and munitions. And this is a thing that definitely happened in the breakup of the USSR. Like, tons of weapons kind of mysteriously vanished from a lot of former Soviet republics, including a bunch of nuclear weapons that we still don't have documents, which is
comforting.
Yeah, real fun one to think about, right? We see that Cage has kind of slowly developed an intense rivalry with the Interpol agent played by Ethan Hawke, and he also during this time in the Ukraine witnesses the murder of the general who he was buying those weapons from, which was his own uncle, with a car bomb, by another arms dealer that he's kind of been competing with ever since the Berlin show that he went to all that time ago.
Bilbo.
Oh yeah, Ian
It's
Holm.
Bilbo Baggins. Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even
Good old-
recognize.
Oh,
that.
I did not recognize that either. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me an hour and 20 minutes to realize that it was Bilbo. And then I wrote it down.
That's weird. Did he have like a weird like face like change there for like a microsecond when
Get a bunch
Nick
of
Cage got the better of him?
get a bunch of like
Yeah, I guess so.
white goop pouring out of his mouth.
Yeah. Listen
That-
to
that-
the best little horror house in Philly movie episode about Alien.
I was gonna say that
starring
white
Mike.
goop definitely came from me, just to let you know.
Oh yeah.
'Cause, he's pretty hot.
Yeah,
I
well-
just couldn't help but bust.
May he rest in peace. But
That's right, he did die.
big
Never
rip.
mind. I'm not that much of a necrophiliac, so
not anymore. But we took
Not
you to rehab
that
twice.
much. They
Not
gotta be
that
fresh.
much, yeah.
We had to take Taylor to rehab twice, and then we like handed him a dead body in the car,
Yeah.
and we're like, "Hey, this is just the last one."
Yeah, one
You know,
last one.
we
for the
were talking
road.
about cracking a cold one earlier, so and I did used to work funeral service, so I got plenty of those jokes.
Oh boy, we're getting into it.
But Cage begins to do a lot of business with the leader of Liberia, whose name is Andre Baptiste.
Which is based off of the real leader of Liberia at the time from 1997 to 2003, Charles Taylor, who is probably one of the most evil people of the last 30 years. Cannibal, mass murderer, the guy who, along with the Revolutionary United Front in Sierra Leone, who were responsible for the practice of cutting off people's arms.
Oh.
And asking the question, long sleeve or short sleeve, which was, would you rather have your hand cut off or your entire arm cut off when they'd put your hand on the chopping block?
Love
So,
What's everyone's answer?
Charles Taylor.
What's everyone's answer?
Charles Taylor got his start in Liberia by assassinating the president of Liberia at the time, Samuel Doe, by killing him on camera, then eating his remains on camera as well.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah,
How have I
Charles
not
Taylor
heard
is a
of this?
real scumbag. Also, by the way, taught by went to school in America to essentially become a dictator in Liberia. So,
All right, wait.
another
hold on. Let's all
another
decide.
psychopath that America helped teach to be a psychopath.
Let's all decide short sleeves or long sleeves. Would you?
All right, Jess, you first.
I think I'd, well...
I'm gonna go
if-
short sleeve because then if I do get into the conflict, I could at least beat them with a little bit more of my arm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna go long sleeve just because I can probably push myself up with my nubs.
Yeah. I saw a video recently of a guy with his arms cut off from like the elbow down, rolling a blunt, and
Wow.
he does it
Truly, the future is now.
a lot better than I ever could. So maybe that's what I need.
I saw one of those videos where a guy who was a double amputee with his arm, he was jacking himself off.
Oh.
He was doing a better job than I could have ever done.
And check our Twitter for that link. We will put that up for you.
Which that guy
the show notes, in the show
sounded very
notes.
Liberian, so I think Charles Taylor had a role to play with that guy.
Wow. I'm definitely a long sleeves guy. I mean, modern prosthetics are crazy, man, and I feel like you can get a little more into it with just your hands. So
That's true.
I'm gonna go long sleeves.
But yeah, like I said, definitely check out Charles Taylor's SoundCloud when he gets out of the Hagues. So
I know you said all that stuff about him, but he could not seem like more of a chill dude in my opinion.
yeah, he's a really
So-
cool guy. That's thing. He's really good with the ladies, and he actually helped Nick Cage get a couple ladies while he was in Liberia.
Yeah. Are you talking about the Portishead threesome?
Oh, yeah. I'll get to that in just a second.
Okay, sorry, I'm jumping the gun here.
Cage is pretty scared of Baptiste and his son, who both seem really erratic and willing to kill anyone on a moment's notice. You just heard the person that it's
Like,
based
really
on.
erotic.
Yeah, and quite erotic, because in a weird little scene, Baptiste's son gives Cage a room with two women in Liberia who try to sleep with him as Portishead plays. What's the name of that song?
I think it's on Dummy, right?
It's definitely on Dummy, yeah. Because I haven't
Also-
listened to any other Portishead album.
And also, Nick Cage does have a lot of monologuing in this movie. He's like the narrator of this film, and he does a fantastic job. But during that scene, he says, "Oh, I had my own little Iman and Naomi," and I'm like, "Are those the only two beautiful black women you can like say in the top of your head to be like, oh, that's what these women?" And they look nothing like Iman or Naomi,
Yeah.
or Naomi Campbell, by the way, look nothing alike.
Let's see.
Talk about some racism from Nick Cage here. Thinking all black people look the same.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna go in a circle. Everybody name two black women.
So back home, Jared Leto talks to Cage about how what he's doing is like very morally wrong, and how Cage's wife doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, of course the wife doesn't know anything about it. Whatever. Women always know.
Yeah, she did the classic Godfather move where she was like, "I just don't want to know anything about it. Like, don't
Yeah.
involve me."
Just there's a few scenes where she's just like covering her ears and screaming.
La 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 la.
La la la, I don't hear you, la la.
I mean, he doesn't want to implicate her in anything, so
Jared Leto still seems to be addicted to coke because he's still got kind of the same thing going on.
And I mean, but nobody suggests that maybe he's just like that, you know? Maybe he's just like that.
Yeah, maybe that's just how he is. Maybe that's his personality.
Yeah, I mean,
And sending him to rehab is just costing you needless money. So shortly after this, on his next arms deal, where he's flying into Liberia on an airplane that he owns now, because I should mention at this point that he's gotten successful enough that he is, in his words, richer than he was pretending to be when he got Ava to marry him.
Yeah, dude, he's got like a fucking amazing penthouse and shit like that. Can fucking buy like a cargo plane and shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
I think
he's loaded.
Yeah, he's totally loaded. I think he said he owns like 10 cargo planes or something at this point. But yeah.
do you believe him though? Because I mean, if you look, his mansion kind of looks like a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, if you look closely, it looks like it's almost like a set that was built.
It's like wobbling in the wind.
Wait. Are you telling me that this was a movie? This wasn't like a documentary? What?
I mean, it
I
kind of
thought
was a documentary.
I thought that like through the TV, I did like the Being John Malkovich thing where I just walked into his life briefly. But yeah, so during that flight there, he is confronted by an Interpol airplane, and Cage has the plane land in the middle of a highway. And before Interpol can get there, he gives out all the weapons in the back to just random civilians who are in the area, just so that he disposes of the evidence and they have nothing they can arrest him for.
It's a good idea. Solid idea.
Yeah, definitely an idea that could not go wrong.
Well, he did also lose the plane.
It's true, yeah. The civilians also come back afterwards and just tear apart the plane.
Yeah, which by the way,
piece
talk
piece.
about like, you know, there's a lot of like shitty like sort of imperial racism out there being like, oh, these Africans they're uncivilized. They tore apart an entire plane by themselves in like 24 hours. That's a lot of ingenuity that no American like crowd could fucking do.
Oh, absolutely.
That's like super impressive.
I started taking out.
It was a cool scene too, honestly. Like seeing it looked like it was a decomposing like nature shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a long sped up sequence of just people tearing it apart from a full plane to just barely even a skeleton of it. So,
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
during that 24 hours that they tore it apart, and Cage is just handcuffed and left there in the desert by the Interpol agents because they can legally detain him for 24 hours without charging him.
Which I'm pretty sure they can't legally detain somebody outside handcuffed to a fucking stool. I don't think that's legal.
Yeah.
Read the fine print, actually.
I don't know, man. This is Interpol. They're not U.S. cops.
Yeah, Interpol.
Which probably means they have more regulations.
I didn't know Ethan Hawke was in the band
that's good.
Interpol.
He actually was, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
So shortly after this, Cage goes back to his hotel in Liberia where Baptiste is standing there with his rival, the other arms dealer.
Is it Bilbo Baggins guy?
Yeah, the Bilbo Baggins
Yeah.
guy. And
This is when I noticed.
he has the opportunity to stop Baptiste from murdering him, but he doesn't, just kind of lets it happen. And then
He also. So here's the thing, though. Did he have that option? Because it seemed to me like if he said no, that he was gonna get shot.
Yeah, I was gonna say versus somebody who, like the real life Charles Taylor, you don't tell Charles Taylor no.
Yeah,
Like, that was not a thing.
that is true, but
Rock in a hard place, in my opinion.
it is a rock and a
Nick
hard
Cage.
place. But that doesn't stop him from going on a guilty drug binge afterwards.
Yeah, by the way, snorting cocaine combined with gunpowder.
Oh, yeah.
That shit
Yeah.
will get
What was
you
it? What did he call
wrecked.
it?
It was like the Brown or something? Or-
I think it was called. I think that was literally what it was called. In the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I think it was Brown. Good scene. I like that scene too when he's like drunk and wandering around.
In the middle of that drunk wandering when two soldiers come up and he says like, fuck Baptiste, and one of them tries to shoot him, but the gun doesn't work, and he's like, hold on, just something must be wrong with the firing pin. And he's like trying to help him with his gun
A true
to kill
salesman.
him. Yeah. Like,
I
Consummate,
mean, talk
consummate
about that could have been the death of a salesman.
Arthur Miller, eat your heart out. And then the hyenas come up too, and I was like, oh man, here we go. They're going for some kind of symbolism here.
So Interpol, while Cage is away, tells Ava that he's an illegal arms dealer. Ethan Hawke does it personally. And
What a
when
snitch. Total snitch.
yeah, can't
It's a
even
tattletale fucking bitch.
It's like, oh, I'm going to tell your wife.
I want to stop illegal arms trafficking.
Ooh, maybe your
I
wife
want to
has a
save
conscience.
child soldiers.
Yeah. You don't even do 1% of what Saudi Arabia does, but I'm going to take you down anyway.
But yeah, when Cage gets home, she confronts him about it and demands that he stops, saying that she's failed at everything she's ever done, but she will not fail at being a person. Which cool. So he relents and stops for 6 months.
Yeah, Ava's a real feminist icon there. So.
Well, he was like the one buying her pictures too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He was buying all her art.
And she finds that out at the end of the movie, not to put too much spoilers. And I think that's the ultimate, but never mind.
The ultimate burn. She thought she was a successful artist, and it turns out she's fucking trash.
Yeah, she thought that her art was being used for a legitimate money laundering scheme instead of another a morality laundering scheme by being like, I'm going to help out my wife here.
So Cage actually starts doing a bunch of legal work, and his phrase on it is, "Thank God there are still legal ways to exploit developing countries."
Which is such an incredible fucking line. I loved that.
Yeah, that really was good, honestly. So Baptiste shows up at Cage's place shortly after this and offers Cage a ton of diamonds to get back into his black market arms dealing. And he accepts the deal and convinces Jared Leto to join him and watch his back during the deal.
He's basically like, one last fucking deal. One last fucking deal.
For all these diamonds. Yeah.
Well, this is his connection to Vitali, who was also like one more. They are brothers.
Oh, yeah.
That is true.
They're just addicted to different things.
Exactly.
As Cage is leaving and goes to get his stuff from his office, which is in a shipping container under a bridge, unbeknownst to him, he is followed by his wife, who finds his little arms dealing headquarters.
Classic. Who hasn't that happened to?
Then at the deal, which is in Sierra Leone and not actually in Liberia, Jared Leto tries to convince Cage not to go through with it because he's worried that the buyers will immediately massacre a village that's right next to them once the weapons are turned over. Cage basically refuses and says, "We're going to go through with this." And Leto seems to calm down, but then goes over to the truck, pulls out a grenade, and just blows it up. And he is then immediately shot and killed by the buyers. So,
Which that scene made no sense to me, by the way. Like, and I wrote this in my notes here, is that like, where did this sudden like conscience come from? Because like in the beginning of the movie, you see he just misses watching two teenage boys get the fucking shit blown out of their skulls by like an AK-47 or something. So like, why all of a sudden where it's like, oh, people are gonna die if I sell these guys? Dude, you should have figured that out like literally 20 years ago. Like, what the fuck?
well, I think that was actually...
It was weird, especially after his speech at the beginning about being a dog that just wants to fucking fight and kill weaker dogs. And it's like, all right, I guess in rehab they had you a nice little character arc.
Yeah.
This dog just got neutered.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be a lot of the point of like the scenes with Leto showing where he was all messed up and on coke constantly and stuff like that, was he was dealing with a lot of
coping
regret.
mechanism.
Yeah, guilty conscience.
Which, if he did really have that much of a guilty conscience, why would he even fucking go to Liberia / Sierra Leone in the first place? Why wouldn't he just stay the fuck home?
To take care of his brother.
Exactly.
Like his brother couldn't have taken care of himself in the last 15 years. He was successfally doing this shit by himself.
It's about family.
It's about family.
I live my life a quarter AK-47 at a time, baby.
That's right.
Hey,
That's right.
I'm getting my family and on my deals over here.
That's the line.
We're from Ukraine over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a Stromboli and a Kiev.
So Cage goes through with the sale. And after the sale, Cage returns home and is basically immediately apprehended by the ATF. It turns out that Ava turned him in after she found that shipping container with all of his shit. And while he's being confronted by Agent Ethan Hawke, Cage tells him that he knows he won't go to court because the U.S. government needs people like him to supply its allies with guns in a way where the government has plausible deniability about what is going on.
Which I feel like is objectively true.
It is objectively true.
Yeah, and not what Ethan Hawke wanted to hear, but he's not willing to let it get through to him.
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a moment that's almost like the movie, like looking at the camera and just saying, like, here is the theme. But
Yeah, literally.
In case you have missed it.
Nick Cage breaks the fourth wall at the very beginning and the very end.
Yeah.
Literally staring at the camera.
It's like
telling
it turns into The Big Short.
But yeah, so it turns out Cage is correct because once he leaves, he is let go and just goes right back into arms dealing, and that's the end of the movie. But at the end of the movie, it does have a little text crawl at the at the bottom of the screen that says like the world's largest arms suppliers are the U.S., UK, Russia, France, and China, which are the 5 UN Security Council members.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also probably missing. I mean, they're not of course one of the 5 permanent members, but also fucking Saudi Arabia and Israel too. The beacons of freedom, literally currently sitting on the UN Human Rights Council. Fucking Saudi Arabia. That makes a lot of sense.
I think Israel mostly buys U.S. arms and then sells them to other people also.
Well, I mean, it's still a middleman is a middleman. So.
True.
You better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody, whoa.
But yeah, that's the whole plot. Thoughts on this, everybody?
I fucking loved this movie. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I was riveted throughout every minute. Definitely, I would say it's probably my single favorite Nick Cage experience so far, just because even though I, may have loved Raising Arizona more, it was the only one of these films that I'd seen for the first time on the show that I genuinely fucking loved. Like in every single way. It was good in a good way.
I enjoyed it. It's not perfect. Would I recommend it to my fellow patriots? I don't know. But
Oh my god.
It could have been a lot worse. A lot less sexy than Zandali, but solid flick.
And that's the thing, you don't have to agree with Nick Cage in this movie to be a patriot. So,
George?
So here's the thing. I like having Nick Cage narrate a whole movie to me. I think that's fun.
He didn't sound like he was phoning in it at all. Like, I mean,
No.
And to be fair, this was not like a super low budget or like not a passion project, I'm sure, but he did a fantastic job narrating this film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, the first part, like I said, it moves pretty quick, but once it gets to Africa, it kind of finds its footing a little bit, I think, and I thought it was pretty good. I had seen it once before, and there are moments in it that I don't remember being like. Sometimes it felt a little corny to me when he was like holding the fistful of money, being like, "It's not our fight, Jared Leto. It's not our fight." I was like, "Okay, we get it." But
And I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, Jess, but I really like the line that Baptiste had. He's like, "You know what they call me? They call me the Lord of War." And he's like, "No, that's a warlord." I love when they drop the title of the film. It's no, you're a warlord. And he's like, "Oh, but I like mine better." I love that. And I don't know the guy who played Baptiste in this movie, but that actor was also fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah.
He really did strike me as like a pure fucking evil character. He did a great job.
He was cool. I thought this movie was good.
Yeah, and
that is my final answer.
And even though I don't like Jared Leto in general, I will say he did a solid job in this movie. Although his character arc, like I said, was still kind of dumb.
Yeah, he didn't.
I don't think he was playing a character. I think
that was literally Jared Leto. Yeah, Jared Leto was like, "Listen, I love Coke." Yeah, he's fucking.
Can we work that in somehow?
Listen, I love Coke.
They had to find a way to work it into the plot because he was literally just walking around
he just kept
carrying
showing
a kilo
up on
of
set.
Coke.
Yeah.
That's why Nicolas Cage was always like batting the cocaine away. He's like, "Stop, we're doing a movie."
Yo, Jared, stop. We're filming.
I'll give you one more bump. All right.
One more bump for the scene.
So yeah, I thought this was a good movie. Really, really solid movie, and one of the better ones we've seen thus far in this podcast. Some of the early parts of this movie do seem to be trying to fit like a few too many things into not enough time. And I feel like some of the other characters could have been a little more developed too, like
For sure.
I agree.
Jared Leto and probably Ava too.
His wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not
Also, Ethan Hawke.
Yeah,
Here's what I think. They should have pretty much cut out Jared Leto's character and bumped up a lot of Ethan Hawke's screen time and really developed that rivalry.
Yeah,
that's
I
think that's a great point.
I think that would have done it really well, actually, because mostly Jared Leto was in there to kind of like, guilt trip Nicolas Cage, which I feel like they could have put a little more onto Ava without, without his character there, and then given a little more screen time to both her and Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, but I really did like Ethan Hawke's character in this movie. Like he's like one of those like goody two shoes kind of guys, but he's also an asshole, which I kind of liked. So
yeah, I think that I very much think that this is on purpose, but he kind of felt like an old school, like Old West Marshal to me.
Yeah,
where, like,
absolutely.
He was like, "I'm the law keeper. Like it's my for real duty to be the justice, the line between this guy and the general population. And I think that Ethan Hawke is a really fucking amazing actor.
Yeah, he's been good in
fact-
basically everything I've ever seen him in.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen a little more from him, especially if you're already going to be a 2-hour plus movie. I mean, what's another like 15 minutes if you split that up between two characters and beef them up a little bit, even if you wanted to keep Leto in there. I don't know.
Which that's the thing is that those might be in like the fucking like deleted scenes or something. Who the hell knows?
Maybe.
Yeah, there's
At least-
probably
at
a
least
cut
the
of this
director's
movie
cut,
that's
but-
like 3.5 hours long.
But yeah, that's kind of my thought about the movie. It's a good movie, pretty good message. Also, there are a lot of lines that can slip by you if you're not paying close attention about like basically U.S. governmental actions that flood the world arms market, that I think are kind of cool. But yeah, solid flick.
And yeah, one more thing on my end. The main guy at this movie is based on Victor Bouts, which I don't know if I'm quite saying his name, but like a bout, like a fight. He's always fighting for equality of gun sales in the world. But in real life, he did not end up continuing to be an illicit gun seller. He has been in prison for like 15 years in America. So he did not have nearly as magnanimous of an end as Nick Cage did.
You better stop. Need him.
It says. If you're wondering
soundtrack
why
in this
Mike
movie.
keeps singing that, it's because it was in the opening credits. And was it in the end credits too? Or
That should have been. I don't know.
I think it was just the opening.
Yeah, but hey, I'll never say no to little Buffalo Springfield.
Yeah, give me that buffalo.
Use every part of the buffalo. That's what they say.
Do you have any amazing Amazon reviews?
I got some good Amazon reviews from this flick. The first one I grabbed was from a guy named Bruce Winning. So you know he's right on the money.
Hell yeah.
We were talking about Charlie Sheen on other episodes. You know, Bruce Winning.
He wrote a
got that
review
tiger
called
blood.
"The Toys of Violence," and he writes, "The technical quality is theater standards. I especially like the 5.1 surround sound. The action and violence is typical, which is very good for me every time. I am always mentioning the shooting, but this one is about the tools for shooting. I also don't classify this movie as war. Like I said, I classify it as action, violence. I would classify it as documentary, but like I said, in my spreadsheet, it was just action, violence. And I am thusly grateful to Amazon Prime Video."
Okay.
You know what? It's still ringing endorsement, so I won't shit on the review too much.
Bruce Winning? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's totally winning.
A winning review.
I love the violence genre.
Also, please tell me that was like a 1 out of 5 star review.
That was a 5 out of 5, baby.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Bruce loves this shit. I got a review from Amazon customer called Kinda Sad. And they write, "Because this was the old Nicolas Cage style of movie, the kind before he started his current run of awful dreck. The kind that was good. It made me miss those days. In any event, This was a terrific movie with a good cast and a better script.
Harsh.
It was well worth watching."
Awful Drek? No. There's never been a bad Nick Cage movie.
How are you
We've
gonna-
objectively proven that throughout this entire series.
Yeah, how are you going to insult things like Outcast and The Runner and and
Arsenal.
211.
Yeah, Looking Glass.
He's been
And
in
Pay the Ghost. Yeah. Come on.
I got one from a Lover of Quality.
Really?
That's a fucking wonderful name.
Well, let's see if this is a positive or negative review.
Oh, you're going to love this one. They wrote a review called Great Awareness, in which they said, "I am a analytical thinker and love movies like this that force people to pay attention to the actual events affect us. Hopefully seeing this will help people engage more to change this. Also, entertaining movie."
I think, I don't know, but in the Season of the Witch episode, I think you said that one of the reviews there was one of the most fedora-wearing reviews ever. I think that may have taken the cake there a little bit.
Hey, sometimes you got to put a fedorical on top of that analytical thinking brain, baby. I got a review from Gregorio. This is a ACR all caps review. He wrote "Good life narrative. Moved well from subject to situations. Identify with theme."
This was actually my pseudonym.
Okay, so how well do you identify with the theme of being a fucking arms trafficker? Was this review made by Victor Bout while he was in prison?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that on the air.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I got a review from WMF who says, not a good flick at all. Horrible flick that can't decide what it is. Comedy, drama, what? Don't waste our money. So that's...
Did he spell like hour like H-O-U-R?
Nope, the other one.
Okay, so I wish he would have said, don't waste hour of money.
2 hours of money.
2 hours of money.
Which would cost $3.99 on Amazon Prime. He's getting paid $2 an hour at work.
Time is money, they say.
Yeah.
I have another all caps review from Observer the.
Well, what are these great observations from the?
Well, they titled their review, "One of the Worst I Ever Purchased."
No!
I'm sorry, purchased. And Observer thus says, very dull movie, uninteresting characters and a plotless muck of insipid political propagandistic drivel. Save your money.
Now, talk about fedora reviews. That was a fedora review.
True.
He pulled out a thesaurus at the end there.
Yeah, goddamn, dude. He's I'm very smart.
Yeah, he dropped an insipid. Good grief.
Fucking drop them fucking bars, dude. Seriously.
And I
Not
have
those bars of soap, though.
I have one last review from Mac10 ODB Woo.
Whoa.
Who
ODB,
writes,
so wait, Old Dirty Bastard wrote this review?
yeah, I think so. In
All right.
2006. When did he die?
2002, I think.
Oh, I thought it was 4.
So he wrote this
could've been
review
his
from the
ghost.
grave. So
This
Yeah,
is a postmortem
Ghost.
review. And, you know, ghosts have all the time in the world to waste, so they don't care what the fuck they watch.
I think it was a posthumous review.
And what Mac10 ODB Woo says is, well, what can I say about this movie that does not include curse words? First off, Jared Leto. Horrible. He was in Requiem for a Dream, so you figure he knows how to act like he's high. But he just spits cliched lies and falls into Christmas trees. Cage was even worse because no one kills him, which leads to an even longer set of monologues. If you can put up with Cage trying to be Ben Stein for what feels like a lifetime, I would suggest you buy this movie. P.S. Near the end, Cage blabs more facts about gun sales than you thought ever existed.
Which, here's the thing, if you want to see Nick Cage die in movies, just listen to like half the episodes of Cage Fight. He dies like half those movies.
Watch Deadfall. He dies halfway into it, and then it stops being good. So.
Also, I do want to win Nick Cage's money, so I would be fine with him being Ben Stein.
Exactly. I mean, is there a problem with acting like Ben Stein? This reviewer is... they pulled that Ben Stein reference out of I don't know where. So they obviously have.
They were just currently watching it. They were just they just had Win Ben Stein's money on, and they were like, he's acting like Ben Stein over here.
Yeah. He had just finished watching the beginning of Ferris Bueller, and he's like, that's the reference I'm gonna fucking do.
Yeah. Sometimes when I watch like a little bit of Family Feud before a movie, I'm like, Tom Cruise was fucking Steve Harvey that whole time. Yeah, that's all the Amazon reviews I have for that one. A lot of people were mad about it, and a lot of people say it's Nicolas Cage's best work.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Truly,
so fucking
a
funny.
balance.
Well, now that we've gotten through Lord of War, I think we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back to you with Snowden.
Snowden.
And a little bit of Fred Durst Friday. So we'll see you in a bit.
Catch you on the flip side.
Good night.
Break time. Oh yeah. Break time.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk to you now about the movie Snowden, which came out in 2016, rated R, and this was directed by Oliver Stone.
Good old Ole Stone.
Good old Oliver Stone, who
what I
did
call him.
he did that JFK movie. He did Platoon. I think he did W too, didn't he?
He did W.
Yeah.
W,
And
I believe
Nixon.
would be the way to pronounce it. But and
W. Yeah.
Hey, if you're a historical event, odds are Old Stoney's made a picture
I
about you.
think he also
Very
made the
true.
movie Born on the 4th of July, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure about that. You son of a bitch.
I could be wrong.
Wait, did he do Natural Born Killers?
He did Natural Born Killers. He did the Doors movie, and he did another movie on this bracket, a favorite of mine that I haven't seen.
Mike, I regret to inform you that you are wrong, and he did in fact direct Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I just looked it up. You fucking
I thought Bruce Springsteen directed that shit.
It's possible. It's very possible.
But
He produced it behind the scenes.
oh well, fuck him. He made World Trade Center, which is a very important movie in this bracket.
Oh my God, he did
And
make that.
apparently, Nicolas Cage's role in this movie was done as a favor to him, I guess, for making him a super cool firefighter or something.
Giving him that stolen valor. But yeah, this the production companies for this one were Endgame Entertainment, Vendian Entertainment, and Kraut Pack Entertainment.
Fuck.
Whoa! Like a slur for German pack? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think.
It's like they like krautrock.
Oh, yeah. So this movie had a runtime of 134 minutes and a budget of $40 million. Can y'all guess the gross on this one?
I'm gonna say $13 million.
I'm gonna say
No, it made way more than that.
$1,300 million.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 75 million.
Everybody's pretty far off on this one. 37.3 million. So
Wow.
just barely in the red.
Fuck you. I was pretty close.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, 61% on from the critics, 70% from the audience. So
Now, also, Lord of War got 61%. So these are both critically matched movies.
Yeah, and 3% from my conservative uncle. So.
Yeah.
I know we already stopped talking about the other movie, but I did want to just say that it reminded me of War Dogs a lot, and that movie is also fun if you liked Lord of War. Check that out too.
Lords of Dogtown or what?
Yeah, that's like the bridge between the two.
Yeah, that's the connection point.
That's my favorite trilogy. Those three.
But yeah, okay, sorry. Now back to Snowden.
it's okay. So this movie actually had a lot less Cage than we were expecting. It's actually, I think, the least actual presence of Cage since Sunny.
Yeah, he's in this movie for like literally 3 or 4 minutes. Come
Yeah,
on.
out of an.
And yet, his spirit permeates it.
It does. It truly
It
does.
really does. And I mean, at least in Sunny though, he plays like a insane pimp. And in this, he's post pimp. He's kind of mellowed out, you know.
Post pimp. That's like the the more serious direction that fucking Pimp C went after like UGK and shit like that.
And
Yeah.
before he died.
Yeah. But that's all I have for facts. Mike, you got those trivia?
I got some little bits.
Nuggets.
I got some little bits and boops. No Lords of Dogtown summary here, but Oliver Stone visited the real Edward Snowden because not many people actually know this, but he is a real person that existed.
Yeah, not a
once.
very well known
Wait,
dude.
what?
Yeah, he's actually like a super big computer guy. I think there's a documentary about him also, and it's about how he has like the highest score in Donkey Kong.
Yeah, King of Kong.
Steve Weeby is that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Wow, this has really recontextualized this movie for me just now.
Oh yeah. Actually, Oliver Stone met Edward Snowden 3 times in Moscow before he decided to do this film. And Edward Snowden was reluctant about having a movie made about him because he's like, oh, nobody wants a movie made about him, especially, when the whole point of my thing is I don't want my shit on display. So
Fair point.
Yeah, I was gonna say talk about a guy who exposed secrets to like help save America's privacy. He's like, I don't want my private shit out there. Fuck you, Oliver Stone.
Just curious, did you guys see Citizen 4? The documentary?
I have not.
Yeah, I've seen Citizen 4.
I will be seeing it soon because I just borrowed the Blu-ray from Jess an hour ago. So I plan to watch it because I have not seen it.
It's pretty rad, I gotta say. It's very, very scary, but I saw this movie when it came out. Like, I saw this movie in theaters, and seeing this woman filming the whole time, I never, questioned, oh, I wonder what happened to that footage that's supposed to be being shot here.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what that documentary is for people who aren't familiar with it out there. It's really cool, and
Yeah, and I believe
it kind of dives a little more into it.
they show bits of it towards the end of this, I believe, correct?
I think some of the stuff that she filmed is present in like the interviews and things that are at the end, but
Yeah.
and they show little clips of it. But yeah, I've seen Citizen 4. I'm actually pretty surprised I haven't seen this movie before because like I don't know, the Snowden leaks thing is something that I am really interested in. Like he released a book just this last October, I think, that I actually read recently. I got it right here in front of me. But
It's been staring at me this whole time.
yeah, his face is right here. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I hadn't seen this movie. I guess I was interested in the real thing.
Yeah.
Although, frankly, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much. This movie does a pretty damn good job of displaying, like, you know, events pretty much as they actually happened.
Yeah, and
agree.
by all accounts, it seemed like Oliver Stone did a lot of running early cuts by Snowden, and Snowden himself has said that this is a fairly accurate depiction of the events that occurred.
Yeah, I assumed that part of the accuracy was because he had met with Snowden. I read that online beforehand.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, a lot of the stuff that's in this movie is just kind of like a real, very quick summary of a lot of the things that are in the book that he talks about, too. So,
Yeah, and Snowden really rubbed off on him because he wrote the entire screenplay for this movie on a single computer with no internet connection to ensure that it wouldn't be hacked or leaked.
No, he actually wrote this via typewriter. Actually,
He should. I mean, he might as well have.
take the extra
he actually
step,
took a
man.
giant stone and like carved hieroglyphics, and that's how he did it.
Hey, all I'll say is that I got a little thingy covering my webcam right now.
By the way, hieroglyphics in Navajo.
Oh, yeah.
He did write the script in Navajo under the inspiration of Nicolas Cage, who's the star of this movie.
The code still hasn't been broken, by the way.
That's the only way to hide stuff from the NSA is communicate in Navajo.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt pledged to donate his entire salary from this film to help facilitate the conversation about the relationship between technology and democracy. And Edward Snowden's parents said he depicted him perfectly, which he remarked was like the biggest compliment that he could get. But yeah, basically like your kid, but cuter. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of JGL as a general rule?
I mean, you know, big Third Rock guy here. So I've been a stan. So I mean, I like him. He's hashtag not my Robin, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I've only seen him in Dark Knight Rises, this, and then not really much else. I'm not super familiar with him.
500 Days of Summer is a fun
I've actually
movie.
not seen that movie.
It's a little problematic at times, but you know, it's fun. It's fun.
Well, talk about
also, he's in one of
problematic.
the Halloween movies. Yeah, it's very
Oh,
true.
that's right. He was in one of the Halloween movies. Which one was it?
Yeah, he gets. I feel like it might have been H2O at the very beginning. He's in the cold open, right? He gets the ice skate in the head.
Yes, I do vaguely remember that. Although I will say though, talk about problematic. The actress who plays Edward Snowden's girlfriend in this movie, Shailene Woodley, is 11 years younger than Joseph Gordon-Levitt in real life, which Edward Snowden and his wife, I can't remember his wife's name at the moment, are only 2 years difference. So,
Lindsay
I mean,
Mills.
come on, Hollywood.
That's
Come the
pretty
heck
gross. I do love Shailene Woodley though. She's an amazing actor.
Oh, no, absolutely. I really do wish Hollywood was just like, oh, yeah, a woman in her mid-30s, yeah, that's totally fine to put her in a fucking movie with a guy who's also in his mid-30s.
yeah,
For sure. I
apparently,
agree with that. I could definitely get behind that sentiment.
it was originally supposed to be Margot Robbie, but she had other obligations. So,
Oh, really?
Was that being
You're
naked
too
in The
good
Wolves
for
of Wall
this,
Street?
Margo?
Yes. The last bit I have here is that during the film shoot in Germany, Oliver Stone's mother died, and taking time off would have left the production unable to complete within its budget and schedule. So he missed his mother's funeral to
Jesus Christ.
finish making this movie.
Yes, a good passion
Rip to a
project.
real one.
Yeah, I mean, she was probably fucking dick anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
old
Yeah,
people,
right?
right? It's like, whatever.
My
Look,
mom.
if his mom lived to 2016, she was probably pretty old.
Yeah, if she died in 2016, she was probably born in fucking like 1800.
Or 2014.
Yeah, she was probably born on the
When
4th
was
of
it come
July
out?
of like 1900.
Yeah, that movie's actually about her.
Yeah, she was. I don't know how old she was.
Well,
but,
she was so old she was born on the original 4th of July.
All I'll say is no offense to the Stone family, but she had it coming to her. So
She
did
had
this,
it
Oliver.
coming. She ran into my knife.
Yeah, classic Chicagoland style stuff.
Okay. So that's all you had, or
yeah,
okay. Well, moving on to the plot summary then. So the movie kind of opens with Laura Poitras and Glenn Greenwald, who are actual people that interviewed Snowden in
Citizen 4.
in Citizen 4 and for all the articles that were released through The Guardian and stuff like that. And they're meeting with Snowden. It's weird because talking about someone and not saying Cage repeatedly, I have to switch out of that.
It's like, listen, Glenn Cage. No,
In the canon of this podcast, Nicolas Cage did play Edward Snowden. So
And I am going to say Snowden because it is easier to say than Gordon Levitt or JGL or...
and that's the thing. Talk about this opening scene where Zachary Quinto plays Glenn Greenwald. Spot on casting. He
Yeah,
looks so
that's
like
a
him.
change.
It's
He
crazy.
looks
It's
just
crazy.
like him.
Yeah,
I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt too. Pretty good casting.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looks a hell of a lot like Snowden. And
I think everyone did a good job. And I mean, Quinto really kind of captures that like high strung energy that Greenwald has.
oh god, absolutely.
It does a really good job. Yeah.
But yeah, they're meeting with Snowden in the hotel in Hong Kong. And then we kind of cut to Snowden's story as he begins telling them there in the room. Which I should say, too, they kind of recreate actually some of the scenes that you can see in Citizen 4, like on camera in this movie there. But as he begins the interview there, we cut to Snowden in his army boot camp training where he's discharged during basic because of his broken legs. He then applies and is hired to work as a programmer for the CIA. And on his training day, he bumps into Hank Forrester, an instructor and counselor played by Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. When I saw him, I was like, yeah, finally.
Looking good, Mr. Cage.
He's honestly kind of a snack in that scene.
Yeah, I
looks
mean,
pretty good.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
the Hot Professor vibes.
Yeah.
You know, that thing, JGL in this movie, little hot teacher.
Also, I don't know if you caught it, but in that, like in the scene where he's getting interviewed, post breaking his legs or whatever, he cites Ayn Rand as one of his influences.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what? Hey, he's read a book. That's cool.
Yeah, he read one of those books.
And that's the thing
At
about
least one book.
At
is that
least one book.
Edward
If you're an
Snowden,
Ayn Rand fan, probably only one, but...
Well, the thing about Edward Snowden in real life is just was just a boring, fucking dumb tech libertarian asshole. Like that's all he was up until he did his shit that we all know
Yeah,
him for.
I mean they did a good job. Well, I won't get too ahead of it, but when he first meets Shailene Woodley, he's a total fucking douchebag.
Oh yeah.
Two things I wanted to say about this Nick Cage scene here. First off, so Forrester does not actually exist. He's supposed to be William Binney, right? That's like the general consensus. The NSA guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He like it seems like a pretty close 1-to-1 where this guy was like, yeah, I built the thing that sort of gave him the idea for whatever the Shield. The programs, they all have these insane names for the
like
programs
Prism,
that I can never remember.
X-
Yeah,
Keyscore.
I was gonna say the one I always remember is X Keyscore. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it seemed like he was a pretty 1-to-1 Binney transposition. But also he says, come to the right little whorehouse, and I pointed and I was like, oh, my show. So there you go. Listen to the best little horror house.
I was gonna
in
say
Philly.
Oliver Stone, by the way, watched your show and he wanted to do a name drop in this movie.
yeah, he's a friend of the
exactly.
pod.
Yep.
By all accounts, and definitely add that to the old Twitter bio.
Yeah.
After that, we see in training that they're given a test to build a surveillance network in their hometown, and Snowden completes this in 1/5 of the average time. I think they added like some of his skill as a programmer as like a, just to beef up the movie and make it more exciting. Because I think even in Snowden's book, he talks about how he wasn't like particularly especially skilled, and he was really surprised at all the access he was given constantly.
And also he did mention that while this movie is an accurate depiction in most parts, that all the areas that he was programming were not nearly as glamorous as they seemed, kind of in his come up in this movie.
Yeah. So he's being trained by a guy named Corbin something.
O'Brien.
O'Brien. Yeah.
I'm sorry, is it Jeremy Corbyn? Jeremy Corbyn was not involved in NSA.
Jeremy Corbyn was actually a special op by the CIA to infiltrate the left.
Jeremy Corbyn was a huge psyop. Red Kahina told me about that.
Wow.
No.
You heard it here first.
But no, so yeah, that's Snowden's instructor who will come up quite a bit.
Chicken Corbin Blue?
Things go on.
He's good. I think he does a really good job.
Yeah, he is a good character in this one. In this flick that we watched.
This Nick flick.
Hey, that's what we should have named this podcast.
Nick flicks. The fuck?
Well, also,
where were you?
Cage Fight's objectively better. I'm sorry.
Okay.
well, also Nickelodeon's was movies as well. So
I mean,
you got Nick in
just the
there as
fact
well.
that if you look up Cage Fight podcast on Google, literally this is the first one that comes up should tell you. That
Because I just Google it constantly. Whenever I'm not doing anything, I just Google.
Yeah, Mike is working on that SEO.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so after that, Cage goes on a date with Lindsay Mills, who will basically go on to be his wife as things go on. And she's pretty left-leaning. She's attending like an anti-Iraq war protest and signs like a petition.
Yeah,
and stuff
very
like
very mid-2000s Daily Show lib type girl.
Mm-hmm.
Those girls usually put out the best, let's be honest.
Yeah, and that's why he's like, even though your freaking kiss tastes like liberal, I'll fucking smash, bro. I don't care.
Yeah, Edward Snowden, like, I don't understand what this fucking woman sees in this guy. He is an insufferable prick throughout the vast majority of this movie to her. He is such a piece of shit to her.
Yeah, the whole thing where she's like, I'll win you over with my kisses, basically. Like, how about maybe find someone else? I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't
would.
know. How about you find
personally,
someone with a
but-
more fully formed personality and is more open with their emotions?
Yeah,
I understand that the romance plot line like has to be there because they needed someone to like bounce his paranoia off of, but I just didn't really like that was the weakest link for me is this romance plot line.
The romance was.
I guarantee you, Edward
yeah.
Snowden, even though I don't know his personal romantic life, I bet you he was less of a piece of shit to Lindsay Mills in real life.
Oh yeah, I think they really played that up maybe he was trying to hide his earlier conservatism, but he says that most of his at that time when he signed up, he was just kind of having lived in Northern Virginia where basically everyone works for the government, and seeing 9/11, he'd kind of it flared up his patriotism a bit, and he wanted to serve his country somehow. But I don't know if he was going around saying your kiss tastes like liberal.
Yeah, doing like some dumb Fox News.
He did say though he is on the record as saying that he hates the lamestream media. So
Hey, he's not wrong.
He had
exactly.
some pretty good hot takes about feminazis too.
Oh God. I hadn't
And
heard
also the war on Christmas a lot.
he hates that men don't get maternity leave or as much as they should. So that's a big thing for him.
So I mean, men getting maternity leave. I mean, I didn't know Fox News was such a big fan of men being able to transition.
Hey, cum makes babies, and they know that.
Oh
And
yeah.
they love it. They love cum.
But so the next scene, Snowden is meeting with Cage again, and he kind of describes for him a program that he wrote for the NSA, but how it didn't get used, but they replaced it with a program based off of it, only it removed all filters from the data that it collected and just intercepts all data. And that cost like $4 billion or something like that to develop. And this is the first Snowden is hearing about it. I hope you enjoy that scene with Cage, because that's the last you're going to see him for pretty much the entire runtime of the movie. He comes back with one little thing at the end, but yeah, that's the extent of Nicolas Cage in this movie. So then in the next scene, we kind of learn just briefly a little bit about like programs like X-Keyscore, Prism, and other CIA, NSA programs, like particularly X-Keyscore is the one they go into, which is a search engine that basically allows them to search any data that is transmitted wirelessly or through the internet, just using a couple keywords to find things. And during his assignment for the CIA in Geneva, he and his superiors used some of this data gathered through these means against the family of a Saudi financier to influence him into getting drunk and driving so that they can use the DUI as leverage into forcing him to work with them as an informant.
Tim Oliphant, killing it.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great scumbag.
Yeah, he did play a really good scumbag in this movie, I'll say that.
Wasn't he in
recognize
Gone
him
in 60 Seconds? I believe
He was in
was.
something that we were just talking about, but I don't recall.
He was in something that we just watched, but I am drawing a blank. No, yeah, it is Gone in 60 Seconds. He's one of the cops.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the cop with the other guy.
Yeah, those are the two things he plays: are scumbags. And
Yeah, he's a really good
Some might say-
scumbag. Like,
yeah, some might say one and the same.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a friggin' handsome scumbag if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Hey, Deadwood, that's a great fucking show.
I need to watch that. I still have not made the journey.
Yeah, I haven't watched that
Great.
either. Seeing the intelligence agencies use data like this that they collected in bulk against people that are only like marginally related to anything that's going on begins to get him, give him some doubts about how ethical his actions are. And that night when he's sleeping with his girlfriend there, he stares at the webcam and realizes that anyone in U.S. intelligence could potentially be watching him right now because they can even
And
activate webcams remotely.
which that's the
But-
thing. As somebody who has fucked on cam before, just enjoy it. Like, what's the fucking problem?
that is actually the only way he can get off now, is if somebody in some remote country is watching him.
I mean, if every time I had sex, somebody in like, I don't know, fucking, Bangladesh was watching me fuck and was jacking off to it, I'd be more than okay with that.
That'd be cool. I mean, I would be more cool with it if they like left a tip.
Yeah, why don't you
but-
start an OnlyFans, Taylor?
No, I mean, chatterbait. That's how you do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm into it.
But yeah, pretty
Big
soon
fan.
Yeah, set some tokens. Yeah.
pretty soon after this, he resigns from the CIA and discusses it in a scene with Lindsay. I keep forgetting the actress's name.
Shailene
Woodley.
Shailene Woodley. Yes.
Make shampoo out of leaves.
That I think is pretty well done. It shows like his paranoia and he kind of hints at like, what intelligence is capable of, or U.S. intelligence, and that he's seeing that, but without saying anything out directly, and, kind of just turns it into a typical relationship argument type thing. But I don't know. I thought that was fairly well written, at least. But back in the present, which is 2013, in Hong Kong, in a very Oliver Stoney scene, Snowden talks about how the U.S. planted devices in the power grids of virtually every other nation in the world and spied on world industry leaders in an attempt to give the U.S. leverage in negotiations. And then says, like, he realized none of this was about fighting terrorism. It's all about social control over the whole people of the world, which pretty direct on the nose with the message there, but I guess kind of, what are you going to do with a movie like this if not have a pretty direct message?
Yeah.
Unless,
For sure.
It's hard not to.
because this is,
Yeah, I don't think this movie really would lend itself well to like hyper metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it
No,
does have
I did bust up laughing at Zach Quinto saying, "No games or we're gone."
yeah.
Once again, talk about King of Kong. He's not a big fan of any game.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a good scene, though. I like this scene a lot. I think that these scenes are... it's interesting that even though they are so confined in those rooms, I think that those are some of the more intense scenes, just because the like energy in the room is so electric. And I think they do a really good job of communicating that.
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah, all the-
a good example of it.
It's a room chock full of amazing performers. So
Yeah, it's those scenes are really good and really tense, and you can the energy is like palpable on there. And I do like the scene where they're arguing. I think it happens at the same time, where they're talking to another reporter from The Guardian and saying, like, you need to release this as soon as possible to get it out on, like, the 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock news, because we're all sitting here, like, freaked out. The CIA could come into our room at any moment and, like, disappear us and get rid of the information. And that being out there is all that's going to keep us safe. I don't know. It's interesting and cool shit to see. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
After that, we see that Snowden had an NSA assignment in Japan, and that his paranoia there is starting to cause some huge problems in his marriage. So he resigns from the NSA and begins to do work for private companies that are contracted with the CIA and NSA. That's a big thing that Edward Snowden gets into in the book that I kind of wish was more in this movie, was just how much private companies are actually involved in the intelligence agency.
Oh, just in regards to like all branches of the military.
You could watch War Dogs to learn more about that.
This really should have been a 3-way matchup.
I mean, we can make this a regular 3-way later on, if you know what I mean.
Oh, we will on cam. So
Well, that's excluding at least one person.
Yeah, just make sure your webcam isn't duct taped up, and we can make it a 3-way later.
it'll be like a tag team match.
Yeah.
But so Snowden kind of discusses.
Wait, who's talking? What?
Don't worry, Dave. I'll fuck you whenever. I've said this.
But he discusses kind of his doubts with his old instructor, Corbin, who he has pretty frequent meetings with throughout this movie, who tells him that they need to keep absolute security over it because the modern battlefield is everywhere. And we kind of learn there that not even Congress knows about any of these intelligence programs, which is true. And during that, he ends up getting offered a job with the NSA in Hawaii and discusses it with Lindsay, who is unsure if they're gonna, move out there, but they eventually decide to do it to help with his stress because he's suddenly having epileptic seizures.
They look fun.
Oh yeah, they look really fun. You get to go down and it's like a big stretch. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like perma tripping. I feel like you're just like cooking in your kitchen, and the next thing you know, you're wiggling on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I can't even joke about it. I saw someone have a seizure in front of me. It scared the shit out of me.
It is horrifying.
Yeah, it's real bad. So I get it, man. Move to Hawaii if you can.
Yeah. While in Hawaii at his new job, Snowden directs the creation of a new database that would compile all the information from all U.S. intelligence agencies. He's calling it Heartbeat.
This NSA station is secretly stocked with superstars of the future, like Lakeith Stanfield and Logan Marshall Green.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really surprised to see Lakeith Stanfield in this movie. I had no idea.
Looking fly as hell.
Yeah, looking real good.
Yeah, they're both fun. Yeah, that guy he's in The Invitation and Upgrade, and he has like a big mustache and shit, and I was like, is that him? And I just pulled it up there. He's like at the very, very bottom of the call sheet as like male drone pilot. I was like, oh shit, this is really at the beginning for him.
Mm-hmm. During his time there in Hawaii, he's having more and more discussions with his coworkers about how things are kind of, it seems like the NSA is kind of overstepping its bounds and intercepting too much data from U.S. citizens without a warrant. And he eventually kind of in the middle of a party gets triggered with another epileptic seizure.
Which by the way, that party, I love that there's a drone overhead.
Yeah.
When they're talking about doing like drone strikes earlier, using the information that basically Edward Snowden and his team are supplying. Mm-hmm. That whole drone. When I saw the drone, I just fucking died laughing. I thought that was so funny. And then also, I love the part where Edward Snowden knows sign language and he's talking to that guy in sign language.
Oh yeah.
You know who taught him sign language? Nick Cage. He learned it for this role, so he could teach.
Nick Cage
Joseph Gordon-Levitt
learned sign language so that he could learn sign language. Also, in the IMDb trivia, it said that Shailene Woodley learned pole dancing for this movie, and I'm pretty sure she learned it from none other than the Cage Meister himself.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about pole dancing is a language in itself. So Nick Cage's like, listen, I'm gonna learn how to do this.
Yeah,
he's signing while he's
reading
on
body
pole.
language.
So yeah, after his seizure, I think he goes in for like a performance review or something. Like something to check in on him. because obviously there's work-related stress like triggering these things, and he meets in like a super like Big Brother-y thing. It's like almost like straight out of like 1984. I feel like where he's just on a massive
fucked
wall
me up.
screen.
I'm like, did that scene actually happen in real life? Like, if that's true, man, like the CIA really needs to bring down its like chaotic evil level shit going on. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting that a couple times you've seen their reactions have been so over the top. At the very, very beginning, when he's like pulling up to the compound to like meet for the interview, they're like, he's at the checkpoint. They are acting like he's attacking them the entire time. Like the guy's hand is on his gun, and they're like checking. They're like put your hands through the wheel on the hood of your car. Like, it's crazy. And there's like this culture of fear that happened after 9/11 that let this sort of thing rise, where people were able to take advantage of that fear and really kind of turn the knob up to 11. And it's made explicitly clear, not only through dialogue, but just through stuff like that and seeing the way that the people around him act. I thought it was really well done with that.
Yeah, absolutely. They do that earlier too in the movie with dialogue when during his training scene when his instructor Corbin says like my generation let 9/11 happen, and your generation can't do that again. Like, all of the American people are counting on you, and like everyone here feels like they have this huge duty to protect everything very intensely because of fears that spawn from that. And those are things that were certainly taken advantage of to create the surveillance system.
His generation allowed the Boston Marathon bombing to happen, which, as we all know, is as bad as 9/11.
Oh yeah,
even worse, and because made Boston even shittier.
Well, that's the thing, is that you know who was at the march, who was the most horrified by it, was Marky Mark.
Yeah, I mean, he actually said if he was a little bit closer to the action of the Boston Marathon bombing, that he would have taken things into his own hands. So.
Yeah, he said that he would have blinded that guy.
Yeah,
yeah. That's the thing. He was running in the Boston Marathon. He was actually in the front of the line. He was looking specifically for middle-aged Vietnamese men to say hi to.
He should be stationed at most events just for safety. Yeah.
He's like, listen, I don't know what those Charlies might be up to in the future.
But during that scene I was talking about where Corbin is on the huge screen there, basically he discusses how things have been going for him, and like says like, did you access a program that you didn't have permission to? And Snowden said like, yes, I did that back in Geneva to look up in on Lindsay. I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. And then basically he says to Snowden like, oh, I assure you she's not sleeping with her photographer friend. And this like triggers the fuck out of Snowden's paranoia, because he realizes now that he and his girlfriend are both being looked into directly by people in the CIA.
Honestly, so that scene I wasn't entirely sure.
It's a creepy scene.
I think that was supposed to be more metaphorical than literal. Like, I think that was supposed to be like more vision.
I don't agree. I think that he was saying like, we're watching you, like, watch your step.
Well, I think it's like the idea of like metaphor, like it might have been like maybe a vision or a dream or something, because like the idea of this giant screen looking at you and telling you to your face that you're being watched. Just, I know the CIA is evil. I don't know if they're that comic book level evil, even in a movie that's dramatizing.
I think you might be surprised.
Yeah, possibly.
You might be
I don't
surprised.
know. Cobra Commander might come on the screen next and be like, "Nah, you're being watched."
That would have been cool.
In all honesty, I do think
that would have been cool.
The CIA has probably done worse things than most comic book villains, but
the CIA are literal comic book villains. So you know what? Maybe it was literal. I'm not entirely sure though.
Yeah, I think it was probably. I mean, obviously, I don't think that necessarily happened in reality with that giant screen there, but it was kind of a visual metaphor for the movie. I think
that's kind of more
like
what I was going.
How
for,
imposing like all of this intelligence stuff is over everyday aspects of life. I thought it was well done.
Yeah.
You guys remember when the CIA switched bodies with Spider-Man?
Oh yeah,
and then continued to be Spider-Man for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that very vividly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically after this, Snowden goes home and tells Lindsay that he knows she's being monitored. He gives her an encrypted email account to message him and says he is going to go on a business trip, and he tells her she should go back to Maryland. They do this outside, away from the presence of any sort of technology that could be picking up on them and things like that.
And I will say probably the best reason to ever go from a basically an amazing house in Hawaii all the way back to shitty-ass Maryland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably the only reason you'd want to do that.
Yeah. It's like, listen, I have to come back here to save my life. That's the only reason I'm going back to fucking like Prince George County or wherever the fuck.
So he goes back to work and begins transferring data to an SD card, starts taking files. And I will say, like, they do this in the movie in one scene and it takes like 15 minutes. In real life, this took place over the course of like months because of just the sheer amount of files that Snowden transferred.
And also, by the way, I don't think all of that would fit on a micro SD card in like 2011, 2012.
No. Yeah, he did this like with tons of micro SD cards, and apparently in real life would hide them in various ways, like in a Rubik's Cube, like he ends up hiding it in the movie, and other times he would have them in his mouth under his tongue to get through the scanner and shit like that.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. It's
I felt bad that he made that security guy an unwilling accomplice.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that's like he did not consent to that role play of trying to take down the U.S. government. He should not have included him in his cake.
Seriously.
he makes up for it by giving him a hot tip on how to solve the cube, though.
Oh yeah,
That's true. That's very true. I did think that scene was really good. Not only the scene where he's transferring it and Lakeith Stanfield comes in and helps him out, but just I think both of them were shot like action scenes in a way that really works. That makes them feel very active.
It's pretty rare that you can build so much tension out of a file transfer, which is usually an incredibly boring thing. But
well, I have to disagree with that. My favorite genre of all time is people looking at files.
It is fascinating. I love anybody typing command prompts into anything in movies.
Yeah,
that is.
So you got a lot of good stuff in here.
I will definitely say though, it probably was good just for the purpose of time not to show him doing that for months. But I do wish they would have tried like a week or something. Like just one 15-minute session of him downloading files on a micro SD card really does not like show the magnitude of shit that Edward Snowden had.
That kind of eliminates the tension of the security scene, though.
It can,
if
but
it's
it can
not just
also
get it out once.
Well, that's the thing, though. I feel like it can rise the tension if they did it multiple times, because every single time he gets a little bit closer, and they might notice, like, why is he always looking so weird when he leaves, like, on this very specific time? You know what I mean? Like, they could have did it. It could have been like a rising suspicion instead of just like, well, you're done. Cool.
He's an Oscar-nominated or winning screenwriter. I'm sure he could have figured it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would have been more intense if he had gotten, like, a month in, and then, like, on the last day, it's like, you know, there's something different about you today, or some shit like that.
Your freaking Rubik's Cube feels one SD card lighter.
But yeah, so then we cut back to Hong Kong in 2013, where we see that the stories have been released. It's getting reported on all over the national media. We see like Piers Morgan talking about it, and then we see recreated interview videos with JGL playing Edward Snowden of the stuff that was played on the news back then, which those videos are still out there. You can always watch those. But and in this we get my favorite fucking scene of the film.
Yeah, say it, Jess.
Yeah, we cut back to Nicolas Cage, who's sitting in like a recliner, drinking a beer, watching the news, and sees the Snowden interview, and he says, "He did it. The kid did it."
That was literally my favorite line in the entire movie. It was so good.
That honestly feels so fucking out of place because I
cried laughing when that scene happened.
Like, hey, remember,
really
Nicolas Cage was in this movie.
that honestly, it did not need to be in there at all, but I'm so glad it was.
Oh yeah.
And,
Hell yeah.
It really made this an actual Nicolas Cage movie we could talk about.
My God, he fucking did it. I really wish he would have kind of stretched that line out a little bit longer.
It's like, my God.
That motherfucking goddamn bastard. He did it.
Piece of shit motherfucking bastard did it. Little shit motherfucker did it.
To the point where you're not sure if it's going to be angry or happy.
Yeah.
Does he like him?
He should have done that deadfall thing. Was like, yeah, the motherfucker did it.
Who said yeah?
And then he should have said like, fuck at the very end of that before the scene transition.
Well, be la fucking France, man. But yeah, so then after that, Snowden is smuggled out of the hotel by a lawyer, and he hides with a family of refugees while he waits for a flight, where he's going to fly to Ecuador by making a stop in Moscow first, but just like in real life. When he gets to Moscow, the United States revokes his passport, and he's not able to fly internationally anymore.
And just like what happened to fucking WikiLeaks guy, what's his last name?
Julian Assange.
Yeah, Julian Assange, where he tried getting Ecuador, but he just ended up at the fucking embassy instead. So.
Yeah. So yeah,
Edward Snowden's still there today.
yep,
Yeah.
still living in Moscow, and
Hey,
I
at least
believe
he's free.
He's
unlike Julian Assange,
Yeah.
who just got fucking finally kicked out of the embassy a little while ago.
I think his wife moved out there and lives there with him.
She
now.
did. She got married to him a couple of years ago, and they lived together happily in the most beautiful city in the world, Moscow.
But yeah, so it ends with an interview with Snowden remotely from Moscow, like before a huge crowd of people.
Yeah, like TED Talk or some shit.
Talking about the importance of privacy and the right to question the government and do things like that. And then it starts with JGL playing Snowden, but then cuts in there in the middle to the actual Edward Snowden playing part of the scene. Like this, I don't think this is actual footage or from anything.
No, I think they recreated that for this.
It was
movie.
made. It was made for this.
But yeah, kind of surprising that they got the real Edward Snowden in the movie. And it was a little weird that they cut to him, mid-interview, they switched from Joseph Gordon-Levitt over to him.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have maybe
I
done the
barely
whole
even
thing.
noticed.
Well, let's face it, they did it better than Army of One did with Gary Faulkner.
Yeah, that's true. They did it way better than fucking...
But Snowden's wife also makes a cameo when Snowden and his wife first meet in the movie. Apparently, she's
Oh, is she like an extra or
an
something?
extra in the background.
Oh
there,
shit,
yeah.
that's cool as hell. Because she didn't move to.
Why wasn't that in your trivia?
It was, but I had a lot more trivia than I bargained for.
And she didn't actually move to Russia up until just a handful of years ago. So she was still living in America probably when this movie was still shot. So
Yeah.
that would make sense why she was easy to get.
Getting dicked down by other guys from geeksmeet.com or whatever.
Hey, listen, Edward Snowden and her have been our only partners. They've only been fans of each other.
All I'm saying is freaking Edward Snowden ain't the only thing that's leaking. Her fucking pussy.
But yeah, so it ends with a bunch of actual clips of Edward Snowden, actual photos of him too. Like they tried to recreate, I think, a lot of the photos in the movie. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Are you referring to like when he's trying to be all incognito walking out of the hotel? Or
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm talking about the end credits and stuff.
Oh.
Oh yeah, but yeah, yes, they did try to do that in the movie too. Some of those ones where he's incognito walking out of the hotel. Also, just ones from his life, like of him
Yep.
and Lindsay together and stuff like that. And
Speaking of these opening credits, I was losing my shit at this song.
oh, yeah,
The fucking Peter Gabriel song.
Yeah,
wrote
I
for
noticed
the
that
movie.
shit. That was fucking
Yeah,
wild.
that was some Oscar bait, and it was terrible. It was maybe one of the worst movie Oscar bait songs I've heard in a very long time. Peter Gabriel, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, bro. You're better than that.
I also loved all of, the newsreel footage in the credits, and I also loved Hillary Clinton being up there. I'm like, talk about villains in fucking real life history. Hillary Clinton talk about Edward Snowden is a piece of shit. Should have been put in fucking jail.
but
Yeah.
With some of
pretty
the stuff I
naughty.
really liked too was the way they juxtaposed, like they would have a clip showing an interview of a person who worked in the NSA and CIA, like talking bad about Snowden, saying he's a terrible person, a traitor, and needs to be taken to justice. And then like they'd show immediately after that a real life photo of Edward Snowden with that guy, like both, arm on the shoulder and smiling because, they worked together for years. And shit
Speaking
like that.
of a movie really predicting the 2016 election, I also love the appearance of Donald Trump. He's like, we do have the death penalty.
yeah, he's like, execution is an option.
We love the fact that reality is just always so good and not evil.
Yeah. I'm happier
favorite.
every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall thoughts on the movie, everybody?
I thought it was good. I don't really think there were any bad performances. I will say the one maybe bad performance in the movie is the guy who plays Snowden's boss in Hawaii, that asshole guy that he meets at the party. I hated that. I don't think that guy did a good job. I don't think that was a
Captain
good character.
America.
Yeah, that dickhead. I think his performance is not good. Thankfully, he was not a super major character. I do frankly wish there was more Nick Cage in this movie.
Yeah, good movie, not a Nick Cage movie.
Which is probably one of the least relevant complaints anyone's ever had about this movie. Outside of us, we're the only ones that care about that shit.
Yeah.
And also, too, I really do wish, and I know they did it just for the sake, because, I mean, Edward Snowden is not, like, a super interesting person. Like, his personal story is not super interesting before his NSA leaks. But I really do wish they had made his character far less fucking insufferable at the beginning. Like, especially with how just neglectful he is over his fucking wife. Like, he neglects her so goddamn much in this movie.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve her. Like, but no.
Yeah.
Shailene.
I know they probably played that up a lot for dramatic tension and to kind of show a character change, but it is a little
the trope in
annoying.
Hollywood once again. And we talked about that in the Army of One episode, where the women just put up with so much neglectful bullshit, but they always come back to the guy because he's just so great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, just guys, can we just have a guy who maybe is a little fucked up, but not outright neglectful, please? Like, for once in a movie?
But there was one part where she's like, you just come home and play video games and you never touch me. And I'm like, what's the problem? So
That sounds ideal, right? No. But yeah, so I thought this was a good movie. Sometimes a little cheesy and how overt it is with its messaging. But overall, I do think it was a really good movie, and I am happy to see it. I wish there was more Nicolas Cage in this 2 hour and 15 minutes movie, where he probably had a total of somewhere around 4 to 5 minutes of screen time.
It was not much. I maybe 5 minutes might even be pushing it. He's barely in the goddamn movie. Mm-hmm. And I will say, too, I think there are a couple filler scenes in here, and I really wish they would have condensed it a little bit more. But the movie's still solid. Like, a movie instead of 2 hours and 15 was like just 2 hours, maybe an hour and 50 minutes. I think it would have been perfect.
yeah, and I mean, especially a movie that easily could have been like 3 hours long, but thankfully was not.
Jesus, could you imagine a 3 hour fucking long movie about like, hey, Edward Snowden went to school and
He's fucking typing. Look at this kid. He's typing over here.
he's got 45 words per minute.
typing.
Holy shit!
So fast. I thought it was pretty good. I think that it's weird because I think that the documentary is better. I think that Citizen 4 is a better movie, and
I would agree with that.
It sort of loses something by narrowing the scope to Edward Snowden, and a lot of the government surveillance stuff kind of falls to the wayside unless it's directly related to him, because this is his story. I think that it's still a fine biopic. I think it's pretty fun. I definitely agree that it could have used more Nick Cage, but overall, I think that it's an interesting watch, especially in tandem with the documentary.
I honestly wish that Nick Cage had played Lindsay Mills' character instead. I think would have gotten way more stage
Get a little
screen presence.
smooch time in.
That would have been great.
Oh yeah, come on, give me
They
that
have
shit.
sex.
I mean, talk about.
I
Nick
need to see
Cage-
more Cage ass.
I was gonna say, watching Xandali, we know Nick Cage loves sex.
Yeah, he loves sex, and I'm sure he would love to have sex with Edward Snowden. So
Sure. I thought it was good. Is my final conclusion again.
yeah, I thought it was pretty decent, and I'd like to take this time to award Oliver Stone with the monumental and inaugural Mike's Best Pick Good Movie Award. Basically, it's the best pick for if you want to watch a good movie. Because that's what this movie is. So congratulations, Oliver Stone, for your best pick at a good movie.
Is it different than a Cagey?
Very different, actually, yeah. But Oliver Stone, contact me and I'll get you the winnings for that. So
The winnings is a 20% off coupon at Arby's.
yeah, but you can't use the drive-through, so you're gonna have to wait on that one.
And 80% because 20% are missing them, so they don't have all of the meats in that discount.
Yeah, and also 80% of the
it's-
coupon is burned off. So
As long as
Code for free shipping on Cage Fight merchandise.
I mean, just like a dollar bill, as long as 60% of it is remaining, it is still a valid coupon.
if we ever have Cage Fight merchandise, I feel like we need just a big mold of his ass.
Yeah,
It
seriously.
says cage fight on
And the
it.
2010s era ass, because I feel like that's, besides Zandali, that's actually where we've seen it the most, weirdly
Well,
enough.
and that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's that chocolate
Good luck
company
getting that mold.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a chocolate company that like molds chocolates out of like people's assholes. We should do that, but with Nick Cage's asshole.
Dude, if we could get his asshole to guess.
If we get his actual chocolate starfish.
Yeah. If we could get.
Wow. Truly talking out his ass.
I would love that.
Dave, you got a little plot summary for us there?
Hey, bro, what's up, man? I thought I'd never see you, man.
I know exactly
Can I
what
talk
this
to you for a
fucking.
second? Listen, I thought. Okay, here it is. Hear me out. Okay. I got this idea, and like, what it is that we like go around the world, like me and you, and we just like hack, like everywhere we go, and like we just like pop out on the street and just hack, and like we like no, like hear me out. Like me and you are like really good hackers, right? We can hack the sack like all day long, and it's like we're awesome, and we like could make money out of this or something, like just like go on the street and just hack, and like people would like see our amazing abilities, and we just like get so much cash, man.
Yeah, totally.
I hope, but yeah.
Thanks, Dave. That was,
Perfect summary.
That was
Yeah, go
pretty
around
much
the world.
Jurassic Park, right?
that was something.
Go around the world and hack. Pretty damn good summary of the NSA.
To be fair, I think that's probably the least representative summary Dave has ever had for the show. It like had nothing to do. Like, do better, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. I mean, I don't think I could do better.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
To
I
be fair,
could,
we are pretty talentless hacks. I don't think we could do better.
Well, speak for yourself. I guess Dave survives another week.
And let's get to them reviews.
Oh.
he got pitch shifted.
Yeah, I got a few reviews here for you fucking freaks. I got a review that's titled "Don't Waste Your Time."
Oh.
And the Amazon customer writes, once again, Oliver Stone taking shots at the country that gives him his freedom. This quote-unquote movie is nothing more than an attempt to elevate traitor Snowden to hero status.
Do we think that person actually watched it? There's no way they actually watched it, right?
Oh yeah, probably not.
They did not.
No, that was just like some like nationalist shithead just be like, "Bleh, fucking America's great." Bleh."
Right.
I got one.
He wouldn't at least have put quotes on it. It's definitely a movie.
It's certainly a movie.
Yeah, it's objectively something that was put to film and released theatrically
unfair to deny that.
with the MPAA number at the end of it. Is objectively a movie.
I got another one from Amazon customer. It might be the same guy. It's titled "Why Should I Care About This?" And they write, "Honestly, why should I? Please give us something better to watch."
Damn.
Wow.
They're
really
very
told us?
succinct. You know, that I bet like his wife was like, "Hey, let's watch this movie," and he's like, "I want something better to watch."
Please, Rhonda. Actually,
Help me, Rhonda.
the next review is from Rhonda Feder, and she writes, "Don't have a clue how this got ordered. Verified purchase. I don't know how this got ordered because this doesn't interest me, and I can't get an answer from anyone at Amazon about it." And again,
This
that is
like
a
when you
verified
find
purchase.
porn. When you find porn on your bill, and your husband's like, "Oh, I don't know how it got on there, honey."
Honey, I
She
didn't
has
watch
like a secret
Snowden.
liberal
Yeah,
at
it's
her
like,
house.
okay,
Yeah.
so there's two things on my bill. There's the movie Snowden and Big Black Asses of Atlanta 3. I did not order Snowden, okay?
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe she saw this and became really paranoid that the NSA is watching her and is trying to just put it out there in the world that she didn't order this.
Hey, yeah, I didn't pay for this, so don't put me under investigation.
Yeah.
And don't look at my Facebook, please. I got a review from Frequent Shopper titled "Arg." And they said, "I didn't order this movie. Someone hacked my account." Now, I don't know if they're trying to do a bit
a
or
recurring theme.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a bit or not. Like, hey, the NSA bought this movie for me to put me on a list.
Wow.
actually, I think the person who wrote this review is in the movie because the reviewer is named Webb, and they wrote a review called Pure Hollywood. Only Oliver Stone could make Snowden a hero. Never mind the many lost lives as a result of Snowden's actions. This is pure Hollywood in action.
And I've heard that response from like, neocon, neo-lib shitheads. Who the fuck has died because like, oh yeah, America spies on its citizens? Who the fuck has died
Literally
because
no one.
of
The
that?
Security Council, the Security Council did a study and they found that they couldn't realistically attribute any lost lives to the leaks that he did.
And I also realize, and I just noticed this, like I feel like a lot of people also confuse Edward Snowden with Julian Assange.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't even I bet you like the negative reviews they were probably thinking of fucking Julian Assange. Well, except for the guy who said the country that gives you your freedom. Like that guy was probably thinking of Edward Snowden, but like
well, it is interesting because one of the things that we didn't really talk about, but I thought was an interesting distinction was the way that where Assange just published everything, which is ostensibly more dangerous than what Snowden did, which was he took it to what he felt were trustworthy journalists who would look through it and find the things that were in the public interest to put out. Mm-hmm. And instead of just having every file and every operation open to the public, he had people go through and specifically present things, which I think is a really big difference. Especially for all these people who are like, oh yeah, like he's a traitor and so many people were endangered by this. It's like, I mean, realistically, no, they weren't.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, going back to your point as well, like I don't agree with anyone who says that what Julian Assange did was wrong. But like, if you're going to argue that anyone was quote unquote immoral, if you had to choose the two, it would definitely not be fucking Edward Snowden. Mm-hmm. Like trying to say that he was a dangerous shithead. Like you're just an idiot if you fucking think that.
Right. I think morality aside for both of them, that it's just a question of like which put more people quote unquote at risk in terms of what this person is talking about. There's no denying that Snowden took more precaution.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the blood on his hands is endless. Got a review from DPM Family. They write, these movies are designed to make you think it's possible to be a hero and to keep you trusting in the fake news. They want you to feel all warm and fuzzy, but the real truth will never be handed to you on a silver platter. Mm-hmm. So some deep...
That was written by Anonymous.
Some deep thoughts there.
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of words to say literally fucking nothing, you piece of shit.
I got a review that says, garbage, Snowden. And then that's it. And then the last one I have is from Mad Hun, who writes, the new word that could be called fake news. It is pure Hollywood, entertaining, but if you are looking for facts and the true, it is not the place you will get it. Snowden was a brilliant programmer. Neither was he an analyst or a field operative. I think they meant to say he was not a brilliant programmer, but they complimented him by accident. Blah, blah, blah. I put this movie as fictional and as entertaining as a vampire movie or James Bond. Unfortunately, the latter two did not cause any harm.
I'll tell you, Vampire's Kiss is very fucking entertaining, okay?
First of all, let's not say vampires aren't causing any harm.
Yeah,
especially
they're causing quite a bit of harm.
They're causing quite a bit more harm than Edward Snowden, and I don't think there's any question about that. James Bond,
he's part of the NSA. Well, I mean, the same type of thing. He's part of MI6.
Yeah, he's part of MI5.
Yeah, he's MI6. But
and he doesn't have a great reputation with women, so let's maybe not paint him as the shining example of what Edward Snowden could be. But mostly everybody's mad about this movie.
Yeah, that's kind of to be expected, especially with... I mean, Oliver Stone makes a lot of very political movies.
Yeah,
I bet people are still
movies that are very
controversial.
polarizing for certain audiences. And this is just another one in the long line of his movies that does that shit.
Yeah.
I hope that in the World Trade Center movie, he reveals that Yuri from Lord of War did in fact sell weapons to Bin Laden.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see.
I mean, didn't in Lord of War he mention that they did or didn't sell?
He said
weapons
he
to Taliban?
specifically did not sell weapons to Bin Laden because he was bouncing checks at the time.
Okay, so he did not. Okay, so never mind. It would not be he would not be.
Yeah, so I hope in World Trade Center we find out that he did.
Oh, the one check that didn't bounce was the ones that were used to hijack the plane.
Yeah, so he actually, Yuri from Lord of War sold the box cutters that were used to hijack the plane on 9/11. So,
Well, that's another thing that Yuri has in
God.
common with Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit during the Rollin' music video.
that's true.
Both intimately involved with 9/11.
We love 9/11 and Fred Durst on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Slap it high. Should we get to
Hey,
a vote?
you gotta have some things, you know.
And those are our things.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think we're about ready for a vote now. Dave, could you give us a little countdown?
No.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Sick.
Okay, so I'll do this here. 3, 2, 1.
Lord of War.
Vandally.
Oh wait, hold on here. Wait. Oh, what did you vote for, George?
I said Snowden.
I said Snowden too. This is a tie.
I said Lord of War.
and we got Zandali up there as a fifth vote.
Zandali's the tiebreaker.
And what did you say?
I said Lord of War also because I think it is the better Cage movie.
It is the better Cage movie. And also, I'll be honest, it was a little bit shorter and it was just a little bit more entertaining for me.
Yeah, and the sex was way sexier.
I thought the subject matter of Snowden was more interesting to me, I think that you're right about it being a better Nick Cage movie in Lord of War, but I am choosing to interpret it as a constitutional originalist.
And at least for me, I think that like international conflicts, especially involving like, you know, illicit arms sales and like, you know, the way that the fucking military industrial complex and private military contractors like just fucking love funneling money into these like conflicts so they can play both sides. I think that shit's way more fascinating than NSA surveillance, to be honest. Like NSA surveillance is stuff that like, I mean, we all knew that shit was going on back in the early 2000s. Like, it's not super shocking. Whereas like,
I thought it was shocking.
I mean, it is.
I
think the extent of it was really shocking. The fact that
I mean, like The Simpsons was making reference to this shit back in like the mid 2000s.
well, people have been talking about government spying on people for like decades, but like the revelations that happened here was that literally all data that was being transmitted over the internet was being taken by the NSA and stored, and they
Well, that's the thing, though.
And with the complicity of the corporations, and I mean, he talks a lot about how people were sort of like they had dulled themselves to it, and that everyone makes jokes about being spied on online or being put on quote unquote the list. And I think it was in the documentary, it might have been that, or I'd also just watched an interview with him, so I'm getting them mixed up a little bit, but he basically said that like the fact that everyone makes jokes about it and expects that they're being watched online means that you can't fully pursue your intellectual freedom because you have to change your behavior with the expectation of someone looking over your shoulder. And I don't know. I think that even though I knew that I was being sort of watched, it's still, I don't know, the like Jess said, it's the scope of it is really, I don't know. It kind of blew my mind.
I guess. I mean, just in general, like I do remember back when the NSA leaked, and I've been politically aware for like all of my entire life, basically. Like, even especially for like a 10-year-old, I was more aware of like a lot of like political fucking goings on than even most like people in their like mid-20s and later are. But I literally remember watching like the Simpsons movie back in 2008, and they made jokes about like the same shit the NSA does. And was like found out in like 2012, 2013 or whenever the Snowden leaks happened. And I legit was like, wait, y'all didn't know this? Like, was this shocking to anybody? Like,
but that was targeted surveillance. This is mass surveillance on a bulk
being done on
bulk collection.
Bulk collection and being done on U.S. citizens constantly with a complete disregard for the Fourth Amendment.
And I know I get off to it. That's the thing. Like, I'm fine with it.
But see,
and that's the thing. So I should say as well, considering we do have a tie, who is going to be our tiebreaker?
I think Dave will, but he has to hear us plead our case.
Yes.
Let me plead my case here because I will say that I think Snowden is the better movie. It's a very good movie, but when you get right down to it, he's a traitor, and the blood on his hands is infinite. And so I can't promote this.
That's the thing. I vehemently disagree. I think actually Lord of War was the better movie. And I think that just because I think it was better paced. I think that the performances were better outside of the Joker, of course. And
That's a spicy take on my part. I thought the acting was quite a bit better in Snowden. But
I disagree. I think
I agree, especially the pacing too. I thought the first half of Lord of War was so frantic.
It was frantic, but at the same time, like, it was frantic to a point, whereas I think Snowden really did dwell way too long on certain segments of his life. And I was honestly kind of bored with Snowden a little bit. I really was. Whereas I was not bored for a second with Lord of War. I was entertained thoroughly every minute.
Well, I guess, I don't know. I did like Lord of War quite a bit, and I was pretty disappointed that I was going to end up voting against it. I realized as things went on, because like at first I wasn't sure which one, but I've realized, I don't know, I do a lot of looking into, and this is like straight up my alleyway. I mean, like, I literally have this book sitting right here, and I just kind of want to talk about this because I've been wanting to. But I think it's a better paced movie than Lord of War was. The acting is really good. The casting is pretty spot on for a ton of it.
I would say the casting was definitely better, and I do believe the casting was a little bit more real to life than Lord of War. I mean, because Lord of War is not really based on a specific person. It's based on a composite of a lot of different people, whereas Snowden is, of course, based on fucking Edward Snowden. So I feel like it was just a little bit better of a portrayal just by default.
I agree with that, but it's I don't know. I do concede that it is not anywhere near as much of a Cage movie as Lord of War was.
All right, concedes. We've got to vote.
I do think that calling this a Cage movie is a little dubious, but we've got Fast Times at Ridgemont High in the bracket, and I think that might advance.
Don't spoil it, Jess.
That'll be up in our next episode against Knowing. Which is,
we also all agreed that Cage had the best line in Snowden.
He did. That's a good point.
Well, Nick Cage also had the best line in Lord of War because he was the main character.
But he was the narrator. Yeah. You get plenty of him in it, and the fact that Nick Cage is able to still shine so brightly in Snowden, I think, demonstrates just how much of a Nick Cage movie it is at its core.
I know, but also,
despite him only appearing in a few
Nick Cage
scenes.
was the main character and the narrator. Like, that makes him doubly amazing.
Well,
and he was a great narrator, even by narrator standards.
All I can say is,
I'm not saying he doesn't do a good job, but I just think that the fact that he is able to still shine in Snowden despite his limited screen time makes that fair. Just as good of a Cage movie.
And also, there was way more TNA in Lord of War.
It's true. There was more. There was still a bit in Snowden, though.
But there was more.
And it was longer in Snowden than it ever was in Lord of War.
It's more erotic in Snowden.
I just, Dave, to you in making this vote, all I can say is that I implore you to stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
So yes,
Dave, remember how polite I was to you at the beginning?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
So I was gonna say, Dave, are you ready to break the tie, Dave?
What do you say, Dave?
I like that, I really hate hearing debates about inane things, and also it's 10,000 degrees in here, so I really like that argument about how, there was one person in the podcast who was nice to me today.
I chose the right side. So?
I don't know, what were the movies?
Snowden and Lord of War.
What?
Say Snowden.
Okay. You gave a summary of them.
Yeah.
Well, wait, which summary? How about that? Why don't we split it like that? Let's get a vote on my summaries.
I think the Lord of War summary was objectively better.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Definitely the hack one. That's definitely just a running joke between me and Dave.
I thought that was pretty hack as well, Jess. So I would agree
I love to hack the planet.
I'll hack you like a sack.
Well, don't threaten me with a good time.
So we're literally divided along the same lines for Dave's summary, too? I thought I heard you just say, George.
Dave, how about you just name the first one that comes to mind.
Listen, I'm going to say this. If you choose Lord of War, we will hire you back on. Sorry.
Hey,
If Snowden ends up being Dave's vote, Lords of Dogtown advances. That's it.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
If Lord of War does not pass, we will fire you again, Dave. So
Sorry, I wasn't.
Dave, I need an editor, man.
Dave's dying of heat stroke, so if you would just say one of the names of the movies, I think we could all move on here.
I did Zandali.
no, it's not one of the movies.
You gotta pick Snowden or Lord of War. This is on you.
Just put aside your love for sex just for 1 minute to vote.
Which one was the one about
Snowden.
the government?
They're both
Snowden.
about the government.
Snowden is
But
more
really
about the
Snowden.
government.
No, Zandali is about multiple governments, though.
Zandali.
Oh, Lord of War. I think you mean it.
Yeah, the Lord of War.
Yeah, but he said the government.
Mm-hmm.
That's ours.
But the one world government, that was definitely more Lord of War.
Yeah, the New World Order is definitely more present in the Lord of War. So.
I don't know. I
Ooh,
think the New
I
World
don't
Order
know.
is
There's a lot
the
of
means,
teamwork.
Yeah. The means through which they would achieve the New World Order is set up in the government surveillance system that is the
We're
focus
split
of Snowden.
again.
This is the worst day of my life. This started out well, but it's
You know what?
quickly
That's the thing,
devolved
George. If it
into,
wasn't for you, we would have been fucking done with this by now. But you had to ruin it.
So like Zandali
Hey.
isn't gonna help.
No,
Here's the thing,
I don't
considering
think
he's
so.
a guest, can his vote count half as much as the host?
No, everybody here is
What
a
the fuck
full
is that
person
supposed
and
to
everyone
work?
gets a full vote, baby. No!
Except for no one listens to my vote.
But you usually
I care
vote for
deeply about your
Zandali and
vote.
it's not in the bracket.
I care very deeply about your
We
vote.
just tried. We just tried to get your vote.
Yeah, Dave. And you know what? At the end of the day, Dave, you're a really
Okay.
smart person.
How about this? How about this? If we'll give it 2 more minutes, and if the cat doesn't shit in the next 2 minutes, Lord of War wins.
No.
Yo, okay, so here's how it goes.
Dave's gonna die.
I don't. Lord of War sounds like a fucking movie I would never ever watch voluntarily. And let's be clear, I didn't watch either of these movies. However, I do think Snowden is fascinating. So I mean, I kind of got to give it to that. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, you're gonna shit all over me regardless. So pretty much fuck all y'all.
No.
Victory is sweet. Thank you, Dan.
I guess
Victory
Snowden
is
wins.
sweet. I will say it feels a little wrong eliminating Lord of War, but I am happy to see Snowden advance because next time when I don't have to explain the plot summary, I can just geek out and talk about the things that were leaked. So like,
Yeah, for
Geek
sure.
out,
and
geek out about taking a leak instead.
okay.
Rather listen to that shit.
Well,
This
I will
fucking
as soon as
awful
we're done with
movie.
this podcast. So
No, but in all honesty, even though Lord of War did not win, I will say both these movies were really good. And even
agree.
though
You should
Lord
still
of
watch
War,
Lord of War.
I liked more. I will say it was like Lord of War was like an 8 out of 10, whereas Snowden was like a 7.5. So I'm not like that. You know?
yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, one of these movies we did say, "Oh yeah, this documentary is better anyway." But
Yeah, that's the thing is that even though Lord of War,
there's no Lord of War documentary that you can just watch instead. So
Wait,
you know,
wait. Can I change my vote?
yes,
yeah,
you can.
oh,
Yes, you
absolutely.
can.
No,
Zandali.
no. The votes are sealed.
All right, Zandali
Oh, by the way,
wins.
Lord of Zandali.
If we count the amount of times Dave has voted Zandali just in this episode, I think that Zandali would for sure win.
Could you imagine
What if
Ava being
we-
played by Zandali?
What if you just advance Citizen 4 instead?
yeah, we'll just move Citizen 4
Honestly,
up.
next episode, if we wanted to do Snowden plus Citizen 4 so we could talk more about the stuff in the documentary too, that'd be cool.
I'm down for that.
Yo,
I'm
how
fine
about
with,
this? Hear me out on this.
All right, we're
Well,
ready.
nobody fucking hears me out on anything, but here we go. So you know how we were talking about having a losers bracket where all the shitty movies go head to head, and then one of the shitty movies is the winner of that for fucking moral victory's sake or whatever.
Yeah, double elimination. Yeah.
Why don't we take the other fucking movie that I don't care about in this one and give it a leg up? Like, let it start in the second round instead of the first round since it was so contentious here?
All
Yeah.
right.
I'd be down for that shit.
Yeah, and Yeah, and I think as long as we just never talk about Captain Corelli's mandolin again, we'll be
Yeah, I'm good on that one.
Yeah, could you imagine us doing a double elimination and just talking about all the movies that were the bad ones of the two in the first part of the tournament?
I'm sorry. Does anybody remember Pay the Ghost?
I've heard
Yes.
of it.
Really?
I do, kind of, vaguely.
I know there was a kid and he went missing, and then Nicolas Cage was like, "Fuck."
And Bryan
was
Singer was
annoying.
not
Well-
involved in the kid's disappearance.
He might have.
Now, I didn't actually even sit through the entirety of Zandali. I saw some tits and kind of rolled. But like,
Yeah, you had
the
to
one it was against,
sneak off after that.
Left Behind. Do you guys remember that one?
Oh yeah, one of my favorite Christian propaganda films.
The best Slipknot song off of Iowa.
That was one
Agreed.
of the worst movies. Maybe the worst movie I've ever seen.
Well,
It's certainly up there.
I will reluctantly say that Snowden has advanced in the bracket.
Sadly, but yes.
In
Congratulations.
the next round, it'll be going against Raising Arizona for the previous
Oh.
episode. So
Raising Air is
One of
Snowden.
my faves. So.
I mean, talk about raising Whitney, Wisconsin, if you know.
Yeah. And if you haven't looked up Whitney, Wisconsin since our last episode, go do that now.
Yeah, talk to Dave. He knows all about her.
Yeah, he loves to fuck pretty much anything. And so that's my plug. It's Whitney, Wisconsin. George, thanks for being on the pod. You were fantastic.
Also, thanks for ruining
My
the
pleasure.
vote, you motherfucker.
Yeah, George,
Hey,
you're
truly my
officially my
pleasure to
new
do
favorite
that.
member of I'm sorry, I'm having a fucking stroke. It is literally fucking 2,000 degrees in here. I got to get out of this room.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe if
sorry.
you would have picked the
Thanks,
fucking
George.
movie 10 minutes ago, Dick. You know what?
Well, I'm not the one who talked about this shit for 3 hours.
Okay, that's fair. Thanks George for being on the pod.
yeah, thank you very much. You were a great guest.
Yeah,
my
thanks for the
pleasure.
memories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone,
and-
please go check out Best
Best
Little
Little
Whorehouse.
Whorehouse in Philly is out there. It's available and it's great, and you should listen to it. And can't talk about Alien on it because I already did it, bitch.
I'm just curious. Is it always sunny at the Little Whorehouse in Philly?
Most days, but unfortunately there is a copyright on it, so legally I'm not allowed to say it.
Okay, fair enough. Totally fair.
No, I'm just kidding. It's a fun show. Mike's on it. It's great. It's on all major podcast platforms. You can also go to littlehorrorphl.com, and you can find pretty much everything there. Also, I'm on Twitter at littlehorrorphl.com, or not .com, just littlehorrorphl. So
Heck yeah.
there's my plugs.
Oh yeah, dude.
Awesome.
Check out the pod. It's a good one. It's better than this one. So
Oh, shit.
Wow.
I love this show.
Drop
I
the
genuinely
mic.
listen to the show. I love it a lot.
Awesome.
we
keep it
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for
But in
that.
all honesty, you were fantastic on the show. Your input was fucking very appreciated.
Hell yeah. You might even replace me on this
my
podcast
pleasure.
someday.
Yeah, if you ever
I
drive
have
out
an
here.
engineering job up for grabs. So.
Well, you can ask Mike. I got my eye on another episode or two, so
Oh, yeah.
hopefully you'll be seeing me again.
George will be back. So
Yeah.
like it or lump it, go fuck yourself.
George of the
And we'll
Philly.
know. Thanks for
Argo,
the
fuck
Snowden tech.
yourself.
Or go fuck yourself.
Or
Yeah,
go fuck
sorry.
yourself.
Yeah, anything else?
No, I think that's all. So, thanks, everyone. And see y'all next time.
Yeah, have a good
Oh,
time.
shit. The next movies we're talking about are
yes.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Knowing.
The
which-
returning champ.
Your
Returning champ
champion.
Knowing and Fast Times Ridgemont High. First time on the show, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and his first time on the big screen, if I'm not mistaken. So,
So,
could be a good one.
yeah,
Excited.
check those out and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been a Solid Work production.
Solid work. Solid work. Solid work. Hey, solid work.